there. Yeah, going on a Wednesday morning, great time to go to Costco. So
yeah,
for sure. I'm not worried about the stock. I just like to do some channel checks, you know, and see what's going on there. But shout out to that. So all right, man, I'm leaving you at the highest spot I've been at all day, and you know, it's 11 o'clock right now. So it should be fun going through there. Fisker, all right. Good day trading.
Worksport halted to the upside just now, out of nowhere.
Worksport, WKSP in Cincinnati.
I've not heard anything about them in quite some time.
Let's look here, $4, $3.50. Wow, we were talking about Worksport on the show, sub 50 cents.
It was 20
They must have reverse split right there, my call.
Right?
So they went from 20 cents up to $4. Maybe that was what it was there, had to have been.
Has to.
And then now Worksport trying to go as well. We'll see if there's any news over here on the midday show with Worksport. But all right,
thank you. The tap is 30% higher right now. Right now.
450, but it just closed.
It just closed just now. That could be anything.
We'll wait
yeah, we'll be back. I know you're going to be going swimming, gym, weights.
No, staying here because we have that meeting.
Oh, shoot, that's right.
Yeah,
we got a meeting.
Yeah. We have to see if we're going to keep Neil around.
See if I can get the walk in today.
Yeah, I might go for a walk as well there and make these decisions.
True. I forgot about
okay, so thank you so much. Yeah, we got this meeting, so that should be fun. We've got Sharif, we've got Joe over here, we've got Adara on the desk, we've got Randy and Rob and Mark walking around behind us and getting Studio 8 ready to go. So that should be a lot of fun for that one. And yeah, we're excited. Whenever that starts to drop. We'll have some more information on a timeline for you guys. But thanks for watching. It's 11:02. Over to the midday show.
Boom. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the midday show. That's your boy Joey Options, and I'm Sharif. And yes, there's a whole bunch running. It wasn't just a one-off day for me yesterday. Joseph, there's a whole bunch of small cap gappers, but first things first, shout out to the OG Darwin. We're pointing out Worksport with the boys. Shout out to Other Zinc and Bavin. We got For Profit, Mr. Leahy, Fake Stock. Shout out to Jacques and Acho, Bob the Builder. Papa Bear is Big Bear. Sure. Tis Small One. Shout out to Austin McVetti. Ronaldo. We got Billy Bezos, baby. Steve is Steve. Family Home Video. Shout out to No Mo. BX9EC. Mouthful. J-Hoss X. We got Glaze 94 and Ebb Flow Portfolio. Shout out to Safe. Shout out to Rock That Casbah. A proper dang paradox. There's my man back. That's what I want to see. Joseph's favorite name in the chat, a.k.a. Beef Strogie. We got Buffalo Soldier and Blackhawk. Shout out to Kurt D. Let's go. Wick Slap. We got Damien Tarsa, Parabolic FOMO, and the Tranquile. And if you're looking for Tranquile, it's definitely not between 11 to 2. I promise you that. Pretty much no Tranquile on the show all day. G-Talk. We got Stro, we got Greg D, and we got one more, Joseph.
Mike P.
Kelvin.
I didn't see him. I thought you were going with Mike P. But I haven't seen him in the chat. Yeah, I haven't seen Mike P. the Rider in the chat today. It doesn't look like he's here. Yo, what's up, Klua? Good seeing you in the chat as always. But yeah. Fantastic morning, some solid news coming out in the tech space, and that's kind of what we want to see here. I only took 2 trades today, and that's going to be on AAPL. No, I did not take Google. We took Apple, and we go 1 for 2 on it, but nice trade here throughout the session. So we go long off of this print. We get stopped out. We hop right back in, even though I usually like to wait a couple of minutes. Got to be patient on that. But again, the signals were telling me, felt like it was going to be a liquidity grab. The rest of the market was climbing higher, and I'm like, all right. We took a nice loss on this one here. We got to double it up, Sharif. And then sure enough, boom, 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 boom. We take it all the way into the volume-weighted average price. Primary target. Left for some for a runner, because I just had a feeling, just keeping an eye on the volume profile, I'm like, oh, okay. As we're starting to pull back, you're getting that divergence within the profile, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me see if I can hold on. No, it stops me, I'll break even, and then I just never took it again. So yeah, it sucks to suck sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're still nicely green, and a nice move right there. Now, whoa. Okay, so now, essentially what I'm looking at here is, are we going to start to cool down in Tesla? The other said in the chat, he's like, yeah, Tesla sells more cars, stock goes up. Makes a lot of sense, right? Or sorry, it sells less cars, stock goes up. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense there, considering that we have some positive news in Apple and Google, and Tesla's the strongest of the names. So we're going to be patient. I like this indecision print at the highs. Maybe we take a short, or maybe we just avoid it at all costs, Sharif.
All right, guys, I'm involved in a name, KLRS. This was halted momentarily to the upside, and then it dropped all the way down. That's where I picked it up at 54s. We've wet the beak 3 times. The next area I'm waiting right here. Boom. There it is, Joseph. 75s printed. We're going to Adara. She's got breaking news.
Dude, ConocoPhillips on watch here is down with the rest of these oil names. In case you guys missed it, I mentioned it earlier, but oil is pretty weak here after OPEC is apparently considering increasing its output. So oil's down, but ConocoPhillips specifically in watch after announcing a 20 to 25% workforce reduction. That's reported by Reuters. Also, Donald Trump set to have a bilateral meeting with the leader of Poland. That stream is starting. They usually do the meet and greet outside the White House. Then the meeting actually begins on the calendar. This is set to start in about 15 minutes, so around 11:20 a.m. When I have more details and when the meeting begins and they're in the room, I'll let you guys know. Back to you.
Joseph, I woke up this morning, I walk over to the subway, there's a gas station on the corner. What's the gas price, Joey? 140.9.
Nice.
What the helly?
You take it.
What the
Good
other
thing you
word?
don't have a tank top.
I know. At a V8, mind you. 80 liters and that, you know what?
That's crazy. You know
But
we're putting it.
you know, yesterday was a month to the day that the car's been gone?
Really?
A month to the day.
Does it feel like it or no?
It doesn't. That was a quick month, my guy.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Time flies when
All
you're
right,
having
Joey, I
fun.
just got to
Go
cover
ahead.
this. All right, here we go, guys. KLRS, we got in at 50s, scalped all the way up there into 88s, but alas, it is still going. It's a couple of shekels below the day high. It's a 619 high here on KLRS correction. 634 high. Watch this one. This one is awfully parabolic, okay? It just started showing up with volume. I want to say right when the show started, right at 11 o'clock. It was doing action. This over here, this is a bull flag, and I think we're getting a bull flag continuation. But this first bull flag was on bupkis volume. We've done, in the last 10 minutes, we've done almost 1.7 million shares. This thing's only done 2.6. So in the last 5 minutes, we've done almost the majority of the shares. And here we go, 643 high now on KLRS. There's a lot other ones that I want to go into. Worksport, one of them, as well as LPTH. But this is the one right now. I was trying to punch in at 6 and it wouldn't let me in. Sometimes it's got a wider spread. Right now it's not bad. It's about 2 or 3 pennies, but I've seen it open as wide as 5 to 7. So be on the lookout for that, both for your entry and your exit, right? So make sure you know what the cost to do business is, even if you're going to be flat on the trade, and that's the spread. So I'm continuing to watch this right now. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to get in. I think we're forming the second bull flag right now on KLRS, up 60%. You know, this one could easily squeeze into another 100% winner on the day. Just keeping an eye out on that, and we'll see exactly what we get. Chill, bro. It's a 135 a liter in the UK. That's brutal, Adam. Yeah, I remember those days,
that's
dude.
brutal, bro.
Oh, it's horrible. Eh? Yeah, it's premium's $1.50. Can I just say something to you, Randy? So I went up to take my old man to the cardiologist a couple of weeks ago, remember? And there's a Costco gas station up there. Tell me why I put 20 pennies lower. 20 pennies lower than the gas station, like 200 yards south.
That's why there's always a lineup at the freaking
They never
thing.
sell diesel. I didn't know that, actually.
Now that I've gas, I can go there.
I like it. Yeah, I didn't know that
At
it actually
Costco?
didn't sell diesel.
Give me that 93, man. I remember in the peak of it, I was paying $2 a liter, a good $2 a liter. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that in the pandemic. Remember
Yeah,
when your
yeah,
boy
yeah.
Poutine started this whole thing?
Yeah.
Boy.
The oil prices, not good. All right, guys, we're making choices here. We're making decisions. You got to live with them. Unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunately. I have conviction within the setup. I do like these indecision prints at the highs. Start relatively small, and where I'm sitting at risk profile is relatively tight as well, too. So we'll pull up to TSLL. Maybe we can get somewhat of a pullback, but again, it's definitely one of the stronger names. So a couple attempts on the trade, and that's it. We're not going to give away too much of the day, but again, I have plenty of room to give this. We'll go up to 1290s, so about 14 cents or so of risk. So I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. You got to put on the trades, as Katina Man likes to say. Traders got to trade.
Bro.
And if the market wants to climb, then it is. Then may not be a good idea. One thing that is starting to climb a little bit higher today, and I love it, yes sir, that is going to be Ethereum finally putting in a half-decent session here. So hopefully we're starting to turn things around. Let's pull up the actual underlying asset to see what we got going on. And we're going to go to a daily so we can see if we started to curl over. All right, beautiful stuff. But I think we'll get a better, I actually wanted to pull up the actual, not ETHA. So there it is. So we had buying pressure within all of these bottom wick candles. I like that. And then now we have a nice engulfing print that is kind of engulfing this whole range. It makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? Now let's take a look at Bitcoin as well to see what this cryptocurrency is. All right, so you get the dip through the neckline, and then you slowly start to see the buying pressure step in on some of these candles. Positive sign. Let's see if we can take an additional leg higher. Now, with that rate cut coming in September, if it does come in, then I think that's going to add some fuel to this crypto space, and who knows what can happen. Bitcoin new all-time high, Ethereum new all-time high. That's what I'm looking for, and if it doesn't, it is what it is, folks.
All right, 682, we're halted. KLRS, SSE, I just got to let them know. We're up 70% now, 70.5% KLRS halted. 682, the time. 11:10:26. So the earliest we will be open is 11:15:26. Be on the lookout for that. We're sending it to Adair.
Yeah, just keep an eye here. And AMD, apparently an executive is saying at this Citi Global conference that the company has more than 40 active engagements with different nations for their sovereign AI. So I guess some different countries talking to AMD for their sovereign AI, according to an executive at a conference. Good look here for AMD Advanced Micro Devices. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Adara. Still keeping an eye on Worksport, guys. It looks like it's going to be a 15-minute halt, if not more. Just looking up on my blotter. Adara, if you have anything on Worksport, love to hear about it because I don't see anything on my blotter. But this is what we're seeing right now on WKSP. Excuse me. There it is. We're up 12. What's happening here, bro? Sure. Okay. It doesn't want to maximize. Huh? There we go. WKSP, sorry, guys, halted at $3.44. I don't know what the top is. I'll check in a second. But this, actually, you should probably check now because I'd like to see the exact time of the halt on this one. So let's go ahead and put it over here. WKSP on the Nasdaq, 440, okay? That's with the theoretical auction price, so almost $1 higher, the halt level, 344. What time was that halt at, Joseph Options? 10:58:01. So it looks like we will be 15 minutes deep. Tell us.
Yeah, there's no news on it. There's a bit of social media attention, but worth noting, no news, and even the social media attention is not huge.
Any speculation on social media?
Nothing, just people getting excited about it if there's speculation.
All right, guys, so nothing there. We'll keep you updated if anything does come in on our blotter for Worksport. We can definitely check the NQ, the NASDAQ halt page. So let's go NASDAQ halts. Let's go over here, current halts. Let's find WKSP. Do a quick WKSP. Show yourself. It is, what's the code there for this one? Where is it? Reason, LUDP. So what's LUDP again? Volatility halt. So this is still volatility. This is still not news pending. This is a volatility halt. So we're still usually when you get that kind of move, on no news like that, typically it is a news pending, but there's exceptions to every rule. It's still a volatility halt by the exchange, so we'll keep you apprised of that. But this is the one that I really need to focus on now. This is the best looking one in the market, KLRS. We still have a couple of more minutes until we open up. So the current time on my atomic clock, 11:14 on the dot. So now we've got another minute and 26 seconds before this one can possibly open up. But while we wait on that one, I want to tell you about this one as well before we send you back to Joey Options. LPTH, very respectful of the trend, higher highs, higher lows. It has breached VWAP, so I don't want to basically base anything on VWAP. But I want to see, does it respect the 10 EMA? It has at times, and it has not at other times. Here it is right there, right now, at that 6 1/4. I'm talking about LPTH. It's up 28 1/3%, and possibly looking to do more over here. So those are the ones I'm looking at, guys. Bovin telling me about BAOS. BAOS. I haven't had a look at that one. We'll have a look at it when we get back from Joey.
Hey, yes, we will. We'll take a look at it. Yes, at FaveSP, loss I am. Again, if it doesn't work, then that's fine. I'm not going to complain about it. This was a really nice trade, so I'm willing to risk a little bit of the realized here. To see if we can get it. I mean, it is the strongest name, and I have no issues with taking this attempt. The issue comes when you're just trying to consistently milk something that may not work. Considering it is the strongest name, I don't expect the pullback to be overly deep, relatively shallow, especially if there's going to be a continuation within the market. If not, then we'll start piecing some out and take the majority of it off as you head into some of the prior resistance zones. But if it decides to squeeze, then we'll take the one attempt at it and then just completely forget about it, because we don't want to be going against the grain on the strongest stock in the market. I just believe there's an opportunity. It could just be an additional ABCD pattern before it takes another leg higher, but you can see on the 5-minute there's selling pressure really starting to kick in here. So that's something positive. If it wants to do another liquidity grab, do so. Starting relatively small, and I only, what am I mentioned that I'm only risking about 14 cents or so. So small potatoes. I always do the revenge trading, milking something. It's horrible. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it comes with experience too. I have no idea how long you've been trading, but you just learn that the fact that it's either it's going to work. I think with good trade setups, they work up relatively quick, and if they don't, then you just have to look at the price action and listen to what it's telling you. I mean, it's way easier said than done. As I'm explaining it, obviously you have those days as a trader where you just have so much conviction behind a setup, and you end up kind of losing the train of thought, and you start seeing red essentially, and you're like, no, it has to work. No, it essentially doesn't have to do anything. All right, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, it doesn't have to do anything along those lines. So we're going to go to Adara momentarily, and as I mentioned, I'll say it one more time, we're going to expect a little bit of a pullback here because it is one of the stronger names. It's either we get it or we don't, and we take a small loss. Nothing to cry home about, nor cry over spilt milk. Adara, what do you got for us?
We have more commentary coming from AMD at this City event. Apparently, this executive is saying that if the company can get a license for their next gen chip, they will definitely think about putting work into the investment side. So NVIDIA potentially looking to the investment side if they're able to get a license for their next gen chip. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, Fave, how many calls do you have? I think at the end of the year, I'm just going to show you guys what I've just been doing from a swing trading standpoint and see what we got going on. But if you have multiple contracts, Los Pollos, then by all means, just there's nothing wrong with locking one or two of them in. If you have 3 of them, lock one in. If you have 2 of them, lock one in and leave one for a runner. 3 weeks until expiration. I mean, within a couple of weeks, you're going to really start to see Theta excel. And if you're not heavily in the money, then you will lose the time value in it. It does have intrinsic value, which is positive for you as well too. So just keep that in mind. And want to be trader and appreciate the info anytime. That's what we're here for. Yep, market always shows you what's up at the exactly. It's always right. It doesn't matter. You're just lucky to be in the right direction that the market is moving. You got 5 Google calls, my friend. Oh. Hey, that's you. It's your position to manage, but at the end of the day, you hear Sean say it, you hear Sharif say it, you hear Neil say it. We're going to lock in some of those gains, and we're going to leave a little bit of a runner to the individual who was talking about 100% returns and then looking to leave some more for a runner. It's the exact same answer that I'm going to give my guy Los Pollos, is that, hey, lock in some of those profits and leave what you're comfortable with as a runner, whether it be 20%, 50%, whatever it is. But take money from the market when you can, and let's go Tesla.
All right, guys, couple of positions. They're doing okay. Here we go. BAOS. Shout out to Bovin, man. I don't know how many times a week, on a daily basis, I have to shout out this guy, but I'm going to continue doing it because he keeps putting stocks like this in front of me. Freaking boom. Here we go. BAOS breaking out into the day's high. What are we at right now, Joey? Options 4.25, my favorite number. Let's set up at 4 1/3. We already wet the beak. So looking to do more here on BAOS. We're also involved in LPTH. I'll get to that one in a second, but we got 08s right now on BAOS, and we're at the high of the day. It's a 28 penny high. Now that I've wet the beak a few times, anything below 4, it's all over. We're moving the stop up to 398, and that's it. So we're going to throw that on there and see what comes of that. Let's go to the other one, LPTH, much slower of a mover. I've got a tight stop on this bad boy because, well, I kind of don't trust it. Prior bar low was what we're doing on this one. So, wow, Joseph, bro. I have to digress.
Oh, let's go.
Because this one is on fire. BAOS. Look, Joseph.
Yes, sir.
The small cap degens like myself, they need something to trade.
Yeah.
Okay. And if KLRS is halted, their hands start shaking.
You guys start
I got to punch in a position,
punch
right?
in.
So then you got BAOS going. You got to start scratching like Tyrone Bigham. Shout out to my man. No, Neil's not here. He won't know. So we're going to keep an eye here on BAOS into that high of the day. It's 444s, which is a little bit of an ominous number, but that's okay. We'll keep an eye here on BAOS for more. And if it sets up in the better way, we'll add into this one. Let's see what it does at 4. If it pulls back into 4, I could be an interested buyer over here. But RS continues to be halted. This will likely be a 10 or 15-minute halt. What time is it? So if it's going to be a 10-minute halt, we're going to open up in about 5 seconds. Let's see this. So it is 3, 4. It should open up on 26. There it is. Right on time. Great look there by the Nasdaq. So let's see what it does now. It had a top of 720. Forget about that, baby. It is now a 726 high a day on KLRS. The halt level, the previous halt level, 683. It already got tested, man. We already dropped down into 90. So if you're looking at a gap fill there for the... Here we go, and this could be it. Let's see. Oh, wow, bro, you got to be a lot quicker than that, man. Old man hands can't hang, baby. On this, let's see, should we get into this, Joey? I don't know. I'm waiting for the halt level. Let's see what this one does. So KLRS, what I'm trying to decide right now is if I want to punch in or wait for that halt level to get filled. It looks like it's going to go without me because there it is, a lot closer to the high of the day, 726. So keep your eye out on this one, guys. I'm not involved in it at the moment, and I just got stopped out of LPTH, so we'll give back a little bit on that one. That'll be for the first L of the day as it breaks down below the 10 EMA on the 5. And there goes KLRS all the way down. Oh no.
Oh no.
Here we go. We're going to give this one the old college try. Doesn't let us in, Joey. We tried to punch in there, but the price action a little bit too quick, and we're a little bit too slow. So we'll have to take that one off. What I was trying to pick up there on KLRS was a retracement into the volume weighted average price, which is about 630, 625. This current candle has a low of 636. So basically got tested, tried to punch in, couldn't get it. So we'll look to do a little bit better next time.
Yeah, Trader, who said this one? White in banking. Okay, and we'll just call you White. I don't know the other part of it. Yeah, obviously, but I mean, I'm just calling the man by his name.
I couldn't care any less.
Yeah, 1.4 billion on the Powerball. Grab me one of those, please, and thank you. I'll e-transfer you.
Okay, we got to digress for a second. You taking that 500 milli up front, or are you waiting for 30 years to get all 1.3 or billion or whatever? Because you get
how much do they pay? Do they pay you
500
like,
something? Hold on.
Yeah.
There's tax on that bad boy.
On
in
the
Canada,
500,
there's no tax.
On 500.
Yeah.
I know there's no.
The only thing we don't get rich on,
the
lottery tickets.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Unreal.
Over 30 years, I'm taking the 1.4 bill. Yeah, because that's still a heck, bro, dude. I couldn't even do the math on that.
You got to do a time value of money calculation to see if 500 now, based on investment returns, would be worth more. I don't know if it is or it isn't. I'm just saying.
I don't know, dude. Think about it. 1.4 billion. That's crazy.
In 30 years, though. Compound,
they pay you out over time, right? Over the all day you're taking that. Yeah.
How much chunks do you get?
Oh, brother, if they're paying you like monthly or weekly, whatever it is, it's hundreds of millions of dollars. I'd say at least
Joseph,
20,
I gotta interrupt.
Million, yeah.
Worksport's open and it is absolutely rocketing up. What the hell is going on over here? Worksport was halted at 341. It popped up to 428. It actually opened at 428. Now all hell is breaking loose to the downside. It's trying to defend 4 right now. The spread is way too wide for me to get involved. It's about 12 pennies right now. That's crazy talk here for a $4 name. So I'm not getting involved in that. Joey, sorry to interrupt, but there's just a whole bunch. BAOS is absolutely going buck wild. Here we go. Here comes $5 on BAOS, 71.25%. I don't know what the hell to cover. You got KLRS halted down. Worksport awoke for whatever reason. BAOS is flying high, baby. So there's a whole lot going on here on the midday, baby. Keep your eye on these small cap gappers. And there goes BAOS into the high of the day, 508, now up 75%. This one looks like it's destined for that triple-digit win.
Yeah, hold on. I got to talk to somebody. I got to say something. Alexander, don't disrespect me like
What
that,
happened,
man. Come
man?
on. He's like, in 30 years, they'll be 80. What kind of nonsense is that?
That's crazy.
That's crazy talk, brother. Yeah, and tens of millions. I'm taking that all day. Would you take the millions over the penny a day doubled? Over how many years? I would take the penny a day doubled. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I definitely would. A penny a day.
I've heard this before.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Penny, like
come
I'm
at
pretty
me
sure it
with this
doesn't take
before.
that long to hit a million, and then once I'm taking that double every day. So yeah, that would be a great time. And then I would just put it on black at one point at the roulette table and see what we can cook up there. No, I would definitely not do that. But yeah, 8% annual. That's okay. 530 years over 3 billion. All right, thanks, Adam Deleuze. Quick maths. I know you guys call it maths over there. So good stuff over there. Good stuff. All right, guys. We're still holding on to this Tesla. I'm having an issue with this because we're starting to bull flag, and you can see the defense every time we're trying to break through this support level. Just gets bought back up. The market's pulling back. Tesla not participating. So if it does decide that it wants to crack higher, then we'll just get out and we'll have to avoid that and see if we can find something else to trade. Because if you look across the board, you have Apple now back below the volume weighted average price. Google starting to pull back in. NVDA south of VWAP as well too. And then we have Ethereum starting to come in with the Nasdaq and the SPY almost touching the volume weighted average price. Then what is Tesla doing? Holding up relatively strong. So we find some relative strength in there. And I'm not going to add to this position. This isn't going to be one because I am counter trending. Regardless if we kind of get that capitulation type price action, I'm not looking to add because I believe that is strong. And you can see the defense consistently step in as you punch through some key support levels. And that's something to keep in mind here. Now let's get our quote highlights on just so we can see what's cooking over here. And we don't even have anything of that size. So we have to put it a little bit. What are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing, bro?
There we go. There it is. Okay, yeah, so we have to filter this a little bit more so we can see an imbalance on the tape. I'm going to have to go to 10,000 shares on this one, and it's still quite a bit considering it's only a $12 stock, $13. But there we go. We're slowly starting to get the breakdown. I would love, if the market sentiment was slightly different today, I would love to add into this for that move back into VWAP, but I just don't think we get that. So with that being said, as soon as we hit a 10 cent, so about a 2-to-1 or 20 cents, a 2-to-1 risk to reward, then we're going to start piecing it out, Sharif.
All right, guys, a whole bunch is going on. I had a bunch of trades here on BAOS on the dip. Initially got in, stopped out, got back in, scalped up back at 80. So BAOS is still in play. It's defending generally, I want to say the 2/3 of a dollar, even though the wick goes down to the $0.50. Here we go. We're testing that $0.50 again. We're still at 2/3, so we're still holding the general area, but I'm expecting a bit of a deeper retracement, possibly back into the $0.25. It doesn't look like it wants to head there, though. And right up to 80s it goes. Mid-80s, seller at 85, now at 86. So we're zigging and zagging here. Can we get continuity? This is a candle of indecision. This current 5-minute candle is a doji candle, which has an equidistant upper body and lower body with a very wick, upper wick and lower wick, sorry. I'm getting confused, and a very small body. So let's see if this one ends up holding up at the $0.50. Here's that buyer at 54, 53. It just lost it. Okay, so it's a bit of a deeper retracement now down into the mid-40s here on BAOS. So it probably behooves me to use my 5-second chart on this, right? If we're going to use the 5-second chart to spot areas of support and resistance, why are we not using it now? We're losing everything right now, Joey. Here comes $4. There goes $4. There's the volume weighted average price. Do we get a bounce up off this level? This is crazy price action right now on BAOS. From 70% to 40% in a matter of seconds, baby. Keep your eye on this one. It's still defending generally for above the volume weighted average price. Does it bounce back up as quick as it made its way back down? We'll have to see. I'm just trying to pack my patience on this one, but I think maybe I missed the trade there on the reload for the entry. So let's keep an eye out on that, Joey. What are you looking at, my man?
Yeah, we're still in this Tesla short here. My guy Daniel B says, look at every 5-minute candle, the volume's declining. You're not wrong. So this is what I'm looking at, both sides of the coin. I'm glad that you mentioned this to me. So what I'm thinking in my head is that you can see that the Qs and the SPY are starting to really sell off. Tesla's not necessarily participating in the drastic sell-off. So one thing can happen, multiple things can happen, all right? It plays catch-up, and decides to sell a little bit more aggressively, or once the market steps back in and you can see those asks and the market pulls back in the opposite direction, starts climbing higher, then Tesla's going to climb higher. So those are the two theses running in the back of my head. It's either playing catch up and goes down towards the volume weighted average price, or once the market starts to pull back in the other direction, it starts to participate and puts an additional leg higher. So that's just kind of what me thinking aloud. So NVDA really weak here, piece of garb, man. What are the Tesla options doing? Yeah, let's take a look to see what we got cooking up here. As the market is it's selling pretty aggressive, and the volume is really starting to kick up here as well, too, guys. So we'll keep that in mind. Options chain, and we're gonna take a look at T. You can do it. Yes, yay.
Embarrassing.
So embarrassing. So Tesla, 345, what was the high of the day here? Let's pull up the actual underlying and not have me looking. Assassino, don't dun me, brother. I'm only playing.
Don't do it, Assassino.
Don't do it, Assassino.
Everything's fine, baby.
Don't do it, brother. There you go, he did it again. So at 345, we have 20,400 contracts. What was the high of the day? 342. At 342.50, we have 13,000, nothing substantial. Maybe those 345s coming slightly into play, but it looks like the market's starting to slow down. Adara, what do you got for us?
Oh, yeah, we have our crypto segment. Sorry, I forgot to announce that. We're going to talk about crypto, and I do have to talk about one ticker in particular, American Bitcoin. ABTC, American Bitcoin. So this company does have a bit of a connection both to the Trump family and to Hut 8. Let's talk about why. So their co-founder and chief strategy officer is Eric Trump, of course, one of Donald Trump's sons, and the company is a majority-owned subsidiary of Hut 8. So those are the two major connections to know here with ABTC. It is by no means replacing Hut 8. Hut 8 is still a publicly traded company, but that's the details here with how ABTC fits into this ecosystem. They went public here, via a special purpose acquisition company. The ticker for that was GRYP. So they merged with that Griffin Digital Mining, and now ABTC is here as a publicly traded company. That's the background on that. Bitcoin actually having a really nice attempt to push back to the upside for the first time since our new all-time high going back to August 14th. We are trying to make a notably higher high on the daily chart. So let's see if Bitcoin's able to get a nice, hold or close on the daily level above that 113,500 level. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum also looking really good on the daily. Bit of a bull flag pattern here. 5,000 is, as of so far, resistance for Ethereum. Can it make a new all-time high above that level? Time will tell. Back to the Bush brothers.
It's pretty. It's so pretty. We go with.
Let's show them Assassino, baby. Let's show them, baby. BAO freaking S in at 16s, scalped all the way up to 75s. We're still holding a couple of pieces. There's the $0.50. It's the BAOS show. It's another Bovin call. Shout out to the OG Bovin. But, now let's calm down and mention that the $0.50 is acting as an area of resistance. In fact, the sellers are moving down. Look at that size. That posted at 48. You got a couple hundred lots there that weren't there prior. Now we're kind of rejecting at lower and lower levels. And when you juxtapose that to the 5-second chart, it's jiving. So you got that move up. You got that lower high. So that trend is still intact. I think we could definitely get another leg down here. Now, the question is, do the higher lows outdo the lower highs, right? Because you're getting a compression pattern with higher lows, but you're also getting lower highs. So be on the lookout now for the downturn on BAOS. I'm not going to allow this to go against me. So here's the deal. We're moving up the stop. We're going to allow it to go against us by 2 pennies. We're moving up to 14. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So BAOS continues to give on the day here, baby. We're still holding a piece, and I'm definitely interested in some more, but I'm wise to the lower highs on whatever time frame you're looking at. It doesn't matter if it's 5 to 10. There are lower highs right now on the name, so I am kind of concerned that this one will drop down. But we did take a bit of a bigger position for myself, not for the show, into this drop down here to the volume weighted average price. That's where we picked up 16s, and that's why we're able to scalp out more on that move up. So BAOS doing its thing, 25. I also want to point out Worksport still holding above barely the volume weighted average price. It's below $4 now, and it's losing VWAP as we speak. It's still up 27%, and I still don't have news on it. I'm looking, I see Bupkiss on my news blotter there with respect to Worksport. I'd love to be able to tell you exactly what's going on with this one. I know Adara's looking. As soon as she finds out, she'll let us know. But for the moment, right now, I know, Adara, it's fine. It's not your fault. There's nothing doing right now on this name, so we'll keep our focus on BAOS. One quick thing before we send it back to Joseph Options. KLRS, as good as they are, you know, for very brief moments, Katina, man, as quickly as they will gesture you that same gesture that Ram gives me every day.
Ooh.
This one will give to traders as well. I don't know. Maybe she can give us a sneak peek right now.
What is it?
There it is. Oh. There it is. There it is. Excellent. Right on cue, Ram. Look, there she is. There's Raheem and Adara. Or that's not Raheem. That's that dude that Stephen Cayley? What was that guy's name, Adara? Stephen Cayley or from CIBC? No.
Oh, yeah, CIBC.
Stephen Cayley.
Cayley, thank you, Adara. Yeah.
I knew it.
Joseph Options, guess what's back?
What's that?
Guess what's back? Oh, no. Oh, no, it's back, Joey. We just took another print. BAOS is taking out highs again, guys. We just wet the beak there at 69. You know where I'm waiting. Now we're going to wait in front of 5. There's 75s, local area high. The high of the day is 508. So keep your eye on BAOS. I think this one's got the goods, baby.
All right, yeah. This is what I'm talking about here, right? So you can see that it didn't participate and have that deep pullback, and then now we have a 5-minute indecision print. So as soon as it comes to my break even, I'm gonna get out of this trade, and it's about to here momentarily because the market's bouncing, and then Tesla didn't participate in this sell-off, and this is just what I'm talking about. I'm glad that we took a little bit off, but nothing substantial. I still have 80% of the position remaining, and we're gonna get this break even stop out here in any second. So as the markets experience this bounce, and there it is, right? So, and I'm not going to get back into it because I'm not going to waste my mental capital trying to short the strongest name on the day and then see, boom, look, you get another little pop, and this is what I'm talking about here. So you can see in the SPY and the Qs, selling. Tesla, you do get that move below some key support levels, but But as soon as buyers step back into the game, look what happens to this, right? It just shoots right back up. So that's showing relative strength, positive. And then also Apple putting in another indecision print right here. Do we take another stab at this one? I think so, to be honest with you, just because, right? So not too bad. Nice indecision print right at the lows, below the volume weighted average price. So we're out of Tesla. Not going to give that one too many more tries. And then also NVDA starting to show some indecision as well, something that I like to see right below the volume weighted average price. But the volume not necessarily supporting it, but what are we selling off here for, all right? So you can see 172, and then what is that number? 172.40 roughly, we'll call it. Let's take a look at the chain, but I don't believe there's anything substantial there. What's the 1 minute telling me on Tesla? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to take another stab because I do like this 1 minute print on Tesla, and if it breaks it, then so what? We'll just give back a little bit of what we made and then some. So get involved in this here. Risk profile. How many cents do I got to risk before? I gotta give it about 10, 15 cents there, brother. So yeah, let's see if we get, yep, canceled. Great stuff. Try this one more time.
Take over?
No.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so we're in it. This is going to be another second attempt. I do like that print, but it could go the other way. So Oppo, we don't necessarily want that. Now, getting back to what I was referring to earlier, that is going to be NVDA's options chain and see what we got going on in that 143 level. I don't think there's anything specific. Sorry, 180, or what was I talking about? 173, I think, roughly. So 172.5, 27,100, but above that strike, you have that 175 with 90,500 contracts right there. So a nice little call wall that we're experiencing. But I think that NVDA can test that multiple times before breaking through. Now our risk profile here on Tesla extremely tight. We have zero tolerance for anything against us going in that direction. As soon as it cracks the high of this candle, for me, thesis invalid. Obviously, you want to give it a little bit of room. Not too much, but again, tight stop, room above the candle. See if you can go and test this low once again.
Joseph, we're getting the same type of selling on BAOS, and I think it's well demonstrated here on the 5-second chart. We keep getting selling in and around the mid to low 80s. It happened before. I'm talking before 1127. It happened over here, 1136, and it's happening right now, and there it goes. So there's the buyer into the 90s. I'm waiting at 525, okay? That's my birthday, and that's where I'm waiting. Here comes 508. That's the high. 508 the high. Here we go. Looks like we're going to take out highs. 10s. That's the high now. 9s, excuse me, the high. Can we keep going? I'm waiting at the $0.25. I'm just going to leave it there, okay? So keep going. Let's go, Mr. BAOS. Nope, not taking out the highs quite yet. The 9 seller is a staunchy little bugger. Can we get 10s? We still don't have 10s as a high. So there's somebody selling up a storm. 15s now the high, Joseph. Can we get a little bit more, baby? I'm waiting at 25s. All right, Joseph, you know what? We're going to take it out here. Nah, I'm not going to let that one go against me. I'm not going to let that one. I know it's going to hit 25. I know for a fact it's going to hit 25 because I got out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Assassino, man.
Shout out to Assassino.
All right, we're having a good time, guys. That was a good trade. And you know what else it is, Joey?
What is it? Oh, yeah, right. Wow. We like the club.
In the club, baby.
Going up.
All right, so it's a 522 high. We took it out at 18s. That's not bad. It's going to take it out 22 highs right now, guys. Keep your eye on BAOS. It looks like it's going to blow off the top. There's a seller at 22s. Now, you never really want to threaten anybody, but I don't know. I think he might be in some trouble there. I don't know. Maybe you'll get lucky and it'll tank off 22s. But, you know, it's still hanging out here in the mid-teens, so it's not really dropping off too much. Anyway, 522 high, BAOS, trade it carefully. They're around for a good time, not a long time. Worksport, Joseph, Bovin was telling me this one was breaking out. Yeah, Bovin, it's below $4. It's like holding on to VWAP for dear life. I don't know what's going on with Worksport. We still don't have a headline on it. Maybe somebody of note is positioning into this company and, you know, and just decided to do it at a random time. I have no idea. It's at 398 right now. What I'm looking at is the side chart, guys. 398. It's got a spread on it here. 7 pennies, 90 actually, 8 pennies. 90 on the bid, 98 on the ask, and that's undesirable if you're looking for, you know, these quick in, quick outs, because that one it'll be a little bit tougher to get in and get out. It's up 29%, not bad look. Bovin saying 390 looks good to go long. Shout out to Bovin. So Bovin's clearly identified here a key area of support. It only breached it one time, Bovin, and it was on a wick basis. I'm talking about the candle on the 5-minute at 11:30. That's the only one that breached it. It went down to 77s, but it ended up closing at around 85. So I see your point there, Bovin, on Worksport. It is now, Joseph, guess what?
What, a $2?
A 525 high of day, and I wouldn't have got printed because it didn't cross 25.
It didn't hit the bid?
No, usually I don't use that gateway where you can get printed on the midpoint. I know a lot of traders use that. I should probably employ that.
I don't know what the priority is like on that, though.
The priority, yeah, it's actually a good point, right? But the priority is per gateway, right? So it's like you can't be priority on all the gateways. You're priority on a certain gateway.
Maybe I don't want to talk out the wazoo. And
Joseph, you know what's not talking up the wazoo? The price action here. It's a 539 high, guys. So BAOS is on its way, looking like to 100% gainer. It's a beautiful name on the day. It's very directional. It hasn't bamboozled you too many times, save and except for that one 5-minute candle at 11:25. It's been pretty much all gas, no brakes. Shout out to Chuck of all trades. Hope you're printed up multiple storms on that, brother. And Lauren Gilligan talking about KLRS. Every time I say the stock, I think of KRS-One.
Yeah, KRS.
Yeah, right? KLRS.
What dang? No, it's what dang. What dang. That's the best one.
There's so many good ones from that. I'm surprised you know about KRS-One, bro. KRS-One. From my generation, you're like 10 years younger.
Dang. Because it was, you know why I know about KRS-One? It's because from the 50 Cent movie, Get Rich or Die Trying. Yeah, he's like a young 50 Cent. He's like standing in the mirror. He's like, what dang. Okay, so yeah, guys, anyways, Tesla's not going to break down, I don't think, here. We're going to be a little bit more patient, but again, we got to stick to the stop here because we don't want to be sticking into a name that's going to be continuously strong as the market's starting to rebound, and it didn't want to participate to the downside. I would rather be taking my chances on a long on Apple than trying to short the strongest name in the market. Just is not overly logical in my opinion. So we'll give this a little bit more space, and then we'll hop out of it. If it goes on a little pump right there, just like that, so see AC Slater to that. Frustrating, I didn't take out more, but there it is. Tesla officially going off the charts, and we're not going to pay any more attention to this because I want to short it. I'm tempted to short it, and with that being said, with temptation arises, you got to try to take a step away, and that's going to lead me towards the Apple of the day and of my eye and of the session. But that's a little dramatic. Yeah, Apple of my eye.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yo, depending on how much money you made out of it, it could be absolutely the apple of your eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. It was back in the day.
Still 10 bagger on that. It's definitely the
apple of your eye for sure. So yeah, so see you later to Tesla. We'll just gladly watch that one appreciate. Give it a little bit back, but nothing substantial. I like what Apple's doing here, so maybe we'll get involved in this at VWAP. Nice indecision print. This is exactly what I'm referring to. On the 5-minute, looks like it wants to start climbing Adara.
Yeah, this meeting here between Trump and the president of Poland has just begun. I'm going to cover this. If there's anything market moving, I'll let you know. But just to let you guys know, Trump is speaking back to you.
See his bitter tweet yesterday, or well, not tweet.
His
truth.
ex? No, his truth? No.
So CNBC in Canada, I don't know if in the States, but CNBC in Canada at night after 7 o'clock, it switches to CNBC World. We start getting the Asia feed. So the Asia feed was covering Xi's military parade yesterday. You know Donald was watching. He's like truthing, right? He's like, what did he say? He's like, I hope my friend Vladimir and Xi say hi to, I don't know, Kim Jong-un as they conspire against the United States. It was so jokes. Where's this truth at, man? So anyway, he was watching. You could tell. It's interesting, though, because he talks like they're his enemies. Yeah. But at other times, they're his friends. He likes President Xi. He likes President Putin. He called him his friend. Here's what he said. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but here's the last part. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America, in all caps, President Donald J. Trump. Get him, Donald. Get him. You're his friend one day, you're not his friend the other day. It really depends on what you're doing on that particular day, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So
shout out to the OG.
You have a military parade, not your friend. No military parade, friend.
There he is. Sorry, Assassino.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
I wanted Donald to dance there.
So there it is, right? That's why you get out of these trades. Nice 5-minute indecision print at those lows, holding up relatively well. I think at this pace, it's going to crack through the high of the day. I'm not ready to get involved into some Apple yet, so we'll pack our patience there. And then also Bitcoin hovering around. It's kind of a grindy one on IBIT and ETHA this morning. So patience, and I want to get a much better price here. I don't want to be buying the top of the range on AAPL just due to the volatility stepping in from the overnight session and what happened there. See, and if I were to get in right at VWAP, it's just like, boom, instantly 20 cents out of the money, and that's not a good time in my opinion. I like to get in lower, and then it will potentially bounce off of the lows, and then maybe we can climb higher. As long as this candle holds, I think we'll be sitting pretty. We'll get a better look at it here on the 1 minute. The one issue for me is that it's not bad. It's not bad. Volume slightly supporting the thesis, but it's not anything substantial, right? It's not isolated or anything along those lines, so keep that in mind. But some nice volume prints, and then you get that 1 minute hammer candle. That might be the move that you're going to experience in this pullback, so yeah, not too bad. And I'm keeping my eyes on Tesla, but for me, it's just like, you know what, avoid it at all costs, and I'm going to do my best here not to try to short it again. It's just not logical, in my opinion, to kind of try to short the strongest name, and it's not participating what the overall market is doing. Let's take a look at Google's options chain, actually, to see what's cooking up over there. Anything good are worth seeing, or something that kind of pops out and says, hey, we need to get involved in this name, not necessarily right now, considering the 9% jump that you just experienced in the stock, but eventually sometime. So again, not the most liquid. Obviously, there's no liquidity issues, but as from an open interest standpoint, nothing substantial there. I think this can all get blown past. What did we close around yesterday? Around 211. So there were those contracts. You do have this congestion within a 10-point zone between $212 and then 222.5s. But now we're north of that, and I think there's a lot of blue sky territories. So watch out for this name to continue to grind higher. And I like what we got going on with Google right now.
All right, I've found another one here, guys, but I'm going to have to really caution you against this one because of the volume. It's got a good looking chart pattern, but the volume is not, participating with how good the chart pattern looks. I mean, we only have 390,000 shares on a almost $3 name. It's printing 290. The ticker, as you can see there, VIVS, up 23.5%. The spread is tightening up. It was like as wide as 7-8 pennies. It's now down to 2. And oh my goodness, look at this thing go. Okay, so people are watching this. I'm not the only one. Oh my God. Here we go. We just took out 3. It's a 304 high, and the volume is coming in. It's now 435,000. We were talking about less than. Now it's picking up 450,000. So VIVS now participating, and there's the breakout. 309, 310 now. Keep your eye on it in this one, but watch out for the reversion because this one is a little light on volume and it has a tendency to open up the spread. It's not wide right now. It's 3 pennies, but it does, open up at times. And I see BAOS is losing VWAP, so all the degens like myself could start looking at this one as this one is going here. Long-only traders I'm talking about. Obviously, the shorts are going to be piling into BAOS. So what I'm keeping an eye on right now is the tightening of the spread. The volume's picking up in spades, baby. We were talking about this one at 300 and change. It's now 530, 550,000. So the volume coming in right now on VIVS, trade it carefully, up 30%. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to get into this or not, man. Here comes 3. We could give it a tight stop. I can't give it to prior bar low because that takes me all the way down to 280. So I either have to wait for this candle to close or just have to punch here and close my eyes.
Pray.
I have no idea what the hell this one's going to do, Joey.
Do it, punch and pray. We'll get it live.
I don't want to do that, man. That's the wrong signal to send to everybody.
Don't do it, man. You're a veteran.
And good thing I did, and it just dropped a little bit there. But now the spread opening up as wide as 10 pennies. Tightening up again now, so it has that tendency. Oh, wow, Joseph, look at that dump it just took.
Oh, yeah, good thing you did.
From 305 down to 270. That's why, bro, you worry about these ones. Alas, believe it or not, it's still holding above the 10 and VWAP, even with that big drop. VIVS just lost a whole bunch of volume as the shorts piled in or somebody took profits, but it's still above key technical areas, those technical areas, the 10 exponential moving average on the 5, as well as the volume weighted average price. So here's the deal, Joey Options. We're going to get in really small share. Oh, man, it's going without me over here. Say that again, Randy? Get it. Get it. Randy's telling me to get it. Randy, it's like pop 20 pennies off the bottom here. I think I missed it, but
pop smoke.
You never really know, Joseph. That sell-off could have been, just the lack of liquidity. And now, as we get closer to 1 million shares, now 676,000 shares, the volatility could subside a little bit. Who knows? So VIVS, I'll keep looking at that. 2 New York cents. Take a look at AIHS. Do I have that up there? I got it up, baby. Could be a good area to get in. So I've got AIHS. It's below VWAP right now. To New York. So you know how I feel about that whole thing, right? We're going to have to insist that this get back into the volume weighted average, above the volume weighted average price. I'm talking about 575. I was actually watching this, brother. I was watching it as it dropped because it basically started dropping right as we started to show. I debated taking a long at VWAP, but that hasn't been the trade for me as of late. I like to base a lot of my entries and exits off the volume weighted average price, but when you get big boy retracements into VWAP like this, my inclination lately has been that they don't necessarily give you the bounce you're looking for, at least not every time. So I decided against taking this trade, and there were better ones, BAOS, case in point, and KLRS at one point as well. So
KRS, what?
Yeah. So that's it, Joey. I'm going to keep my eye on VIVS. Definitely IHS to New York will remain on the side chart, just given how close it is in proximity. Shout out to my man, Nick. $4.99 super chat. Sharif, mind lending me your eyes on FCX on the weekly? Looks like a great swing. Long say less, my man. We're going to do it for you right now. We're going to do it live. Let me just move this over. Live. What's the ticker again there, Joey?
FCX.
FCX. Oh, man. All right. And he wants the weekly.
FTX.
No. Stop that. Stop that. Yo, man, he's sharing sells. He was sharing a sell with Diddy. And he's like, Diddy's a nice guy and stuff like that. Did I tell you about this?
No,
you gotta watch this.
Yeah.
This is a good looking chart, Nick. It's a very prolonged bull flag. There's obviously a range to be had here, and there has been for the better part of 4 years. I want to say since the COVID bottom that we put in, we were in a gnarly uptrend. Seems to be 50 generally is the top, and about 35. Yeah, 35-ish to 30-ish is the bottom. With most of the prints coming off that 32.5 for whatever reason, I mean all these ones over here, as well as these ones. You have the tariff tantrum over here, so I wouldn't put too much stock into that. I would basically look at this as a $35 hold. So I think it's about a $50 to $35 range that you haven't been able to decisively break above or decisively break below. There have been times, as you see, where you've lost that. But for the most part, you revert right above that. What is this company? Freeport-McMoRan. Okay, so yeah, it's a bigger company, definitely. International metals company focused on copper. I like it. Company operates geographically, diverse assets, significant proven and probable mineral reserves of copper, gold, and molybdenum. How do you say that, Randy? Molybdenum. What the hell? They use it in everything, eh? It goes in motor oils. All right, good to know, man. I love having this guy around.
Yeah.
So look, I don't know too much about the company, full disclosure. Don't know anything about their fundamentals, but it seems as if about a $32.5 to $50 range, Joey.
Ooh, okay. I'm thinking about doing the old punch and pray here as well, too, for you. I'm not. Obviously, there's obviously some, when we say that, we're obviously being sarcastic and stuff. Don't do that, because you'll have a bad time. That's when you just break stuff, is when you just do the old punch and pray. Or the old punch and go to the washroom, and that one's not a good time either. So yeah, but this is what I'm talking about, right, guys? This is what I'm like. Okay, it's frustrating because you want to continuously. For me personally, I'm just speaking for myself. It's like, oh, I want to short this. But at the end of the day, I have to listen to what the market is telling me, and there's going to be better opportunities if you are looking to short something than what there is in Tesla. Can it break down? Absolutely. And that's another thing to note. You just have to sit with the fact that, yeah, it could sell off aggressively and play catch up with the overall market, or it can just continue to grind higher. Either way, you have to be accepting of what it is. Glad we haven't got into AAPL just yet, so you can see that that indecision print isn't holding up relatively well. But one thing to note is that we're slowly grinding higher in Ethereum, so let's go on Ether. I would love for this thing. I don't know if we let's pull up the actual underlying here. So Sharif, what are you thinking? When do we see that previous all-time high in Ether, timeline-wise?
Bro, yeah.
I know you don't care. Yeah.
In a you know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah. You don't care.
These are ones that I
you don't care.
Yeah. I care.
Well, no, but essentially you're not monitoring it. You're not. Yeah, you're not in any rush for it to.
You got a higher low there, Joey, which I do like on that last little
right
area.
here.
So you put in that higher low. You also have higher highs on that last attempt as well. So I like the stair step up.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get chop, and that's what we've been getting. Obviously. So as long as we hold pattern, I sit comfortable.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. I mean, if we do break this downtrend, then maybe we run back into this 38 level roughly or something along those lines.
Fair.
But sure enough, this bull flag, this consolidation, there's a base that's holding up relatively well there as well. So I like it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's
up there. It's up there.
Yeah, this bad boy over here.
Yeah. There, yeah. So that's another level there. So you get that wick out. So bang, right off of that point. So it's the exact same line essentially. So yeah, I mean, it's holding up good. Trend line still intact here from those June lows. And then boom, sure enough, that's when you climb a ridiculous amount, over 100%. And who knows? I think once this top is blown off, you head in, I mentioned this yesterday, you head into the 55, 6,000 level. And I'm curious what you guys think. How long till Ethereum touches a new all-time high? I'm going to say probably not until late September, maybe mid-October. Right? Maybe even later October, maybe even heading into the Christmas rally. It all depends on what we get in September. I think the larger the rate cut, obviously that's going to drive more of this. If we get 25 bips, then maybe you get a little bit of pop, a test around that previous all-time high. If you get the 50 bips, then sure enough, bang, it's new all-time high in my opinion, or it could just completely sell, right? Because the market is definitely irrational at times, and you would think something that's going to bid up probably sells off, right? Because that's just how it works, complete logic. And if that's what you're looking for in the market, then you're in the wrong place, because I just think that's how it is. It's a mind of its own. The market is just, as some would like to call it, all right?
Joey, can I just cover something real quick?
Go ahead.
I want to bring to your attention two new small cappers that have made their way onto the scene. The first ticker is VEEE. V. It's really breaking out, up 30%, and it's a trade de novo, meaning it barely did any action at all in the pre-market or earlier in the day. The first real volume candle there coming in at 1140, 304 high, showing me 295s, well above VWAP, well above the 10 EMA. Trade it carefully. I'm talking about top left of your screen. There's another one, VIVS. I don't have the updated information on that. I have to add it to the watch list. Otherwise, the charts don't update, Joey. You're going to need to talk to your boys there at IB because they need to fix that.
I thought you were on that. I thought you were on that one.
Yeah, I got pulled with them, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm playing. VIVS popping into 310. Very similar prices between VEEE and VIVS, but very different areas relative to these areas of support and resistance. So VIVS all the way down into the volume weighted average price, barely holding it. That VWAP area, 279, 280, price action showing me 77s. So we're a couple of pennies below it. This one doesn't have as much volume. Be careful here with VIVS as this current volume bar below 50,000 shares. But this is the one that I really want to focus on. VEEE, 304 high. It doesn't look good with this topping tail candle. What I'll insist on is that it hold above 255. So 255 is for a reason. Even though VWAP is showing me 275, take a gander at the actual price action resistance level. 55s yesterday going into 8 p.m. 55s or 50 this morning at around 8 a.m. And then look where the 10 EMA is at 59. So even though it zigs and zags, possibly a little bit below, a little bit above VWAP, what I'll be looking for is a 55 hold, and we may get it sooner than we thought. 65 showing up now as it loses the bid a little bit. 304, let's see if this one can hold up, and we will execute on it if it will. For the moment, though, we're going to take a bit of a pause, send you to Adara. She's going to go through what's happening now. Ooh. Then Neil is going to drop Neilage on his lesson of the day.
Okay. Just like that, Jack.
Yeah, keep an eye here on this market. We still do have Donald Trump talking, currently answering questions during this meeting with the president of Poland. We had some Fed comments this morning, Fed's Musala, basically saying that the baseline idea is that the tariff inflation impact will fade, but there is a risk that it will be persistent. So this is going to be pretty interesting to watch here with regards to the September meeting. Earlier today, Fed's Waller indicated that he'd be interested in a potential cut in September and then more cuts going forward over the next few months. We also had JOLTS job openings coming out lower than expected today. A bit of a forecast here ahead of the NFP prints, which are going to be coming out on Friday. Lots of these job numbers we know have been really on watch for the Fed, and as such on watch for the market. Keep an eye here on Google, of course, one of the biggest movers to the upside today in the Meg 7 space. Tesla, the other notable mover, but Google here, of course, on watch after Judge Amit Mehta ruled that the company is not going to have to divest its Android operating system. And yeah, this is just in general a better ruling than we were expecting for GOOGL. Salesforce reporting earnings after the bell tonight. You can check out this infographic on Exit TTV Research. Other post-market earnings reports include AEO, AI, and Figma. So, obviously you can get a look at what's reporting on Exit TTV Research. And in the meantime, we have Neil, and he's got a lesson of the day. So Neil, give us that lesson of the day. Over to you.
Thank you, Adara. Don't get rugged. Avoid the rug pull. It's easy enough to say, and something we were talking about this earlier, kind of ranted about this ABTC and taking profits. But the thing about it is everyone wants to hold for the dream for some types of moves. And I get it. Like if we were to look at it, and the comparison I made was your BMNRs and your SBETs, and when people see charts like this, they want the monster continuation. Even if it's on like the 1 day, they want that 5x or the 2x that hold it all day and you just keep on breaking highs. But that's not always the way that things are going to play out. And I think having a plan of action that might allow you to hold for that crazy move, but also give yourself a bit of an out so that you do not get completely rugged, should be part of it. Now, first things first, I don't ever endorse really chasing these types of things that halt up multiple times. But I know sometimes people get involved in it early, and you want to hold on for the dream and not necessarily get caught giving up the entire move. There's a couple of things to look for with these types of runners. One of them, when you're in a halt-to-halt state like this is on the way up, you're not getting a ton of information. So you need to be laser focused, because it's not, you could have the prior halt level as you're out and say if it breaks down underneath, I'm going to get out. But that might trick you. It might not be clean. What I want to look for is a typical rejection pattern. Go at the lower time frame. I usually use a 3-minute, so I would go down to a 1-minute chart. And then what I want to see is the next time it tries to push. Like each time you're gapping higher. Well, it opens up without gapping higher. So now you're on alert with this stock. Everything looks okay, but here's the thing. It doesn't break this low. However, I would be out, despite the fact it doesn't break the low. And that's simply what happens when it tries to break the high. You get this rejection candle trying to break the high on a 1-minute and comes right back in to retest the bottom. There's then a second salvo in here. Once this happens, stop goes out underneath that green candle and say, forget about getting caught in a halt. I'm getting out if it breaks this. It tried to bounce. It pulled a rejection candle. It tried to bounce. It did not hold. If that new low is gone, then I'm trailing out for sure. And this gives you the chance that, hey, if it holds after that bounce play, consolidate here above VWAP, you can be in it all day, you can be in it all afternoon, whatever it might be. But that's the halt to halt to halt state where you just go absolutely nuts. And it also gave, there was another example here on Worksport where, okay, you had one halt and then you were consolidating higher. Yeah, fine, another situation where you want to give it a chance. But what happens after it holds consolidation? Your false break of the high of the day. Now you're on alert. What happens? There's your false break. It holds the low just underneath $4 a couple times and tries to bounce. But once it breaks that 395, 396, you're not waiting for the low of the day necessarily. To me, that gives you the trail out after that failed break. It gives you a chance that if you're involved here, if you were involved for whatever reason early, but if you took that whole price, it gives you a chance to be able to hold on for the dream. But once it fails to top, after that halt up, or the final halt up, or the most recent halt up, when it shows you that failing pattern on a stock that is prone to be halting, that's a good time to try to get out of it. Because specifically on gappers, small cap gappers that are prone to halt and have been showing you halt, you know liquidity is at a premium. Now, Worksport has glided down in an orderly fashion, but that doesn't have to be the case. It could have done a move like that ABTC, and it would have. And that's the thing. You've been given a hint at how nasty it can be if it loses the bid completely. So allow that false break of the high to give you a trail if you've gotten into this early. There's nothing worse than having 50% or a double up or a triple up in the bag and then getting that rug pull because you weren't paying enough attention when it was deep in the money for you and looking for a potential exit. So it's all well and good to have that big winner, get into one of these small cappers early, but look for that sign of a false break of the high on these names that are halting. The other thing about having a stop or a trailing stop in is if you can get those exits before it's completely broken down, you're not at risk of, oh, my stop got triggered between gaps. Like you could have a stop, it halts down, your stop is here, it just gaps underneath it. That's what you don't want to get caught with. And I'm perfectly willing to get trailed out on something that's a big winner so that I don't give it all back getting caught in a down halt or holding through a down halt. So just be careful with these types of names. Everyone likes to get these big 2, 3x types of wins, but you got to be able to play it in both ways and understand that you can lose the entire thing in a matter of minutes, and avoiding those absolute rug pulls can be an advantage. So watch out for those topping tail wicks post-halt. They can give you an exit before it breaks the low. Good luck to everybody. There's your lesson of the day. Let's see if these markets can hold on to VWAP here.
Well said, Neil. I just want to bring to your attention, thank you very much, Neil, again, for that lesson of the day. Make sure to join us around that noon hour. You get happening now with Adara, giving you a quick look at the markets, and then Neil drops his lesson of the day. Call it Neilage around here. But this one, Shout out to my man ADL. Not really known for small cap gapper trading, but he's been giving me dimes these last couple of days. And here's another one, UGRO. Alas, it is sub $1, so you know how I feel about these sub $1 names. But this one had a big move in the aftermarket right at 5 o'clock. So I want to just take a quick look to see what the reason for that was. Was it? So that was the 2nd of September. Just looking there to see what was going on at around 5 p.m. into definitive agreement. Okay, so some sort of agreement here. Urban Grow Incorporated filed a Form 8K entry into a definitive agreement with U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. So I can read this whole thing later, just so we understand. There was a headline that came in at around 5 o'clock yesterday, 5:01 on my blotter, which explains this price action. We gave back almost everything. We went from all the way to 78 pennies there yesterday in the aftermarket, down to about 42 pennies at around, I want to say 9:45, but that was as low as it was going to go, and it has been higher highs and higher lows since that time. 74 pennies or thereabouts is the high of the day, 73. So we are still below that aftermarket high. And if you watch me trade these small caps before, I consider yesterday's aftermarket high to be akin, if not the same, as the pre-market high in the morning. If there are bag holders from the times where there are no volatility halts in the morning, it doesn't make a difference if it was in the afternoon yesterday. The reason that there's similarities between the pre-market and the aftermarket is as a result of a lack of volatility halt. So if you move very aggressively in the aftermarket or the pre-market, you're not going to halt due to volatility. You can still halt pending news, but not for volatility. And so that's why I don't consider them the same, but very similar. In any event, it's well above the 10 EMA, well above VWAP. It's got an area here of previous price action resistance. I'm talking about that 60 penny area. You got that rejection at 6:30 a.m. this morning. The institutional prints rejected there. You also rejected there at around 11:30, but that was the last time we were going to look at that level. In fact, after we cleared it, we used 60 pennies, as you can see here at that 11:55 candle. We used it as support. So here we go. We're dropping back down after making that 74 penny area high. I'm going to be going long at them. I don't know how you feel, at around 63 to 64 pennies off that 10 EMA on the 5. That's going to be my move on UGRO, Joseph.
Good look there. All right, yeah, so I'm just sitting on my hands right now. I see nothing other than the temptation to short Tesla, but I'd rather not, just as I mentioned umpteen times throughout the day, is just I would rather not give myself that headache of trying to short one of the stronger names. All right, let's take a look at the top performing sectors of the day. At the top of the list, we have the communications sector. Yesterday was a whole lot of red. Today, not so much, but I mean, more red than green. So we're up about 1 1/4 there on the comms. And then consumer discretionary up about 7/10. And then we have the tech sector. Up only 4/10. Come on, guys, get it together. And then the bottom three, we have the industrials down 6/10. Then we have healthcare down 7/10. And then we have energy sector down 1.8%. Now, on the week, have we started to climb? No, all the major averages are negative. Yes, you guessed it. So there it is. Bang. Winner, winner. Exactly. And that's what your boy has for lunch there, is the chicken.
He's so bitter.
No, but that's what I got, man. No.
I'm not going to go into the story. But
one day you guys will find it. One day. No.
You're sick sport about stuff, though, bro. I'll give you credit.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Pretty good, yeah.
The only thing, I'll be honest, so I was thinking about the other day, like, you can make fun of me all you want, right, sticks and stones, but then when people start chirping my trading, that's the only time I really get frustrated.
Well, it's like a tough endeavor, bro.
Yeah,
like,
it is. And it's
you're
just
already stressed as it is.
Do you not think that I want it to work out? But no, other than that, you can make fun of me all you want. It doesn't really bother me, but you just got to be able to take it back at the end of the day, right? And I could be a little arrogant at times, maybe, if I come down to it. Probably not. But anyways, all right, yeah. Ooh, what does this look like to you, Sharif?
Let me have a look. Oh, no.
What does this 5 minute look like to you?
The 5 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be a head and shoulders.
Yeah, you think so? There you go.
The thing is, I'm a stickler for patterns. And so we need an uptrend for that head and shoulders. We were kind of consolidated before. Look at that earlier price action.
Yeah, fair
But you
enough,
did
fair
get
enough.
that bump there. What time was that big bump there? Was that the
This
after
one?
No.
Oh, this
that
one
right
here?
there, yeah.
That's right at the open, 4 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the 4 a.m. talk right there.
Yeah.
G-Talk, all right, yeah, we like that G-Talk.
right.
Sure, $10 super chat.
Crazy.
You didn't put anything behind it, so just maybe reply to your own super chat there, and maybe we can get that. But yeah, that's exactly G-Talk. All day, Bosses Talk. Or was that song by the Migos? Bosses Never Speak. So shout out to that. But anyways, at the end of the day, guys, I don't see anything that I like. And I mentioned just ask for the short in Tesla. I don't think it's there. NVDA did double bottom on this occasion. I'm putting an indecision print, so that was nice for potential long in the continuation. You just want to stick to the strong names, and then hopefully you can get a little bit of a program stepping in and it works in your favor. Apple climbing back towards the volume-weighted average price. I was thinking about longing the Qs, but again, I want to follow something that has the path of least resistance, and I think that's going to be the likes of Google and Apple, considering their news. I know for a fact that we're going to be touching on it throughout the day, and a lot to talk about with that, so that's going to be a good time and good talks, considering what we have down the pipeline. So yeah, NVDA not looking too bad. Are we going to go and retest this high of the day? I don't know, maybe possibly. But just going back to volume price analysis, it's just like keep an eye out for these indecision at extreme highs through specific levels, and then you can base trades off of them. Sure enough, there's another print right there. So not horrible, not horrible. And then Apple grabbing off these lows, so a continuous higher low there, Sharif.
Adara, is there anything on marijuana? Because there is a whole bunch of negativity, like not there needs to be news on marijuana, but you got MSOX is down almost 10%, its SSR, MSOS, and then you got Tilray's also SSR, CGC's SSR, so I'm just wondering if there's anything in marijuana world. Nothing, okay, all right, Adara. Nothing immediate, Adara saying, thank you for that, Adara. So, yeah, not like there definitely needs to be weed news for weed to sell off, it's just weak in general. What do you got there, Katina, man? How was the walk, brother?
Good, not too bad. Oh, I gotta stop.
Crazy weather, eh? That's the last day of good weather. You can't. You don't need a jacket out there. Yeah, it's okay. 2 kilometers. Okay, that's still good. You know, I've changed my walk. Eh, I'm walking around like random place. I want to see what's good. Yeah, nice.
Yorkville, what'd you buy? Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you go in the didn't go in the Gucci store?
I'm never gonna say that again.
Yeah. I thought you'd be going into the Gucci store after that. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I figured that. So
saw Drake at the Gucci store. They shot the breeze.
Yeah.
Everything's good there. Katina, man, gave him a couple of tips on some of these stocks. Said, don't buy Open Door, Drake.
Said, don't
no,
buy.
actually, he told him to buy Open Door. You're a long Open Door. He's long Open Door.
Said buy Palantir, though.
Trump ends press conference with Polish president. Thank you, Adair, for putting that on there. As we know, Donald Trump was meeting with the Polish president today. We'll get you more on that a little bit later. But I want to bring this to your attention. UGRO. You guys have been talking about this one. Adam pointed this one out. Bovin pointed this one out. Yannick pointed this one out. They're all pointing out UGRO south of $1. But, you know, it's definitely got some selling over here. It's still above the 10 EMA. I was biased for my entry on this one into the 10 EMA. It's still putting in lower highs, not necessarily lower lows quite yet. I'm going to pack my patience on this one and see what we get. Chuck of all trades saying LCFY. I've got my eye on that one as well, brother. We got them all here. My issue with LCFY is, well, 2. Can you guess what 2? Can you guess, Joey?
What's that?
What's my beef with this stock? I mean, you've been trading, watching me trade these small cap gappers.
It's below VWAP.
And? Yes, that's right. The pre-market high.
The pre-market high.
The pre-market high. Joseph Options here, bang on with that VWAP. So below VWAP at 570. In fact, regular trading hours price high of the day is 570. Pre-market high is 769. So basically $2 below the pre-market high. That just doesn't cut it for me. And you work up to VWAP and you're already selling off a little bit. So I see LCFY. It displeases me until it gets up to about 7 3/4. Whether it gets there or not, we'll have to wait and see. VIVS, though, this is a bit of an interesting one. We got a huge volume spike there a little bit before noon, about 1/4 to noon, 310 high. We dropped down, but what's ironic is when you get a drop in volume like that, usually it's an upside down V retracement, a Christmas tree retracement we call on the floor, but that's not what you're getting here. You're, in fact, above the 10 EMA, you're above VWAP, but you're not really doing any discernible price action. So is this one sort of basing out and then maybe step up again through 3. So VIVS, a bit of an unusual chart pattern right now for these small cap gappers. I mean, I'm not going to punch into it at the moment. It's not setting up the right way, but one that I want to keep my eye on. What the hell did this just do? So popped up from mid-70s to 85s there. Okay, so broke pattern. All right, maybe we need to look at the tape on this one a little bit better. So there it is, VIVS. Yeah, it's a bit of a wide spread, 6 pennies at the moment, 84 on the bid, 78 on the ask. It's up 20.5%. It's done less than 1 million shares of volume still, though. And that was my beef with this one initially, that it was like 300,000. Now it's almost at 1 million, but still not 1 million. So I'm not gonna execute on this either. I'm gonna wait and see if it sets up in a bit of a better way. So nothing for me at the moment, guys. I'm looking at all the ones on the side chart. The only one that I'm really considering taking a trade on right now is UGRO, and that's because it pulled into volume to the 10 EMA. So let's load that UGRO, and I really don't want to punch into this. It's sub $1 stocks are like pulling teeth, bro. We're going to give this one a try, Joey, because we don't have any positions right now, and I don't like that look. So we're going to get in here. We're going to get in. And do I give it to VWAP or do I give it to 60? Oh, goodness. All right, we're getting in. Let's see what we get over here. We're going to give it to 60 pennies, so we're going to risk 4 pennies. Right. So let's go ahead and put 5.9, and then we'll go all the way down to 5.5 for that. What do we got on? We got 65s. We're already out of the money. So that's not, yeah, I mean, I didn't expect anything different with these sub $1. Yeah, straight to jail.
Right away.
All these sub $1 names should be illegal.
Right away.
No,
ooh, we don't want that.
I'm playing, bro. I'm just angry that I'm out of the money.
Ooh, that's
so that's what we're keeping an eye on, Joey. UGRO, not much to report on there. But LCFY is breaking through VWAP, guys, and it might be breaking through 6. Sorry, I wasn't plugged in. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, all right, let's rock and roll here. Exciting news for Canadian sophisticated traders. Beta Pro Global X Canada has just launched 6 new triple leveraged ETFs, offering 3x bull and 3x bear exposure to the S&P, TSX 60, semiconductors, and U.S. treasuries. Even better, they're offering a special fee rebate, dropping management fees to just 65 basis points until December 31st, 2025. These ETFs also employ currency hedging to seek neutralize U.S. dollar exposure, providing performance that may accurately reflect the underlying U.S. equities indices. If you're a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, check out betapro.ca 3x daily leverage to learn more. Okay, let's just, speaking of management fees, I always like bringing up this GBTC.
Got it.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
It sucks to suck. It sucks sometimes, man.
There's no liquidity on that.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like,
at the end of the day, Sharif, this was supposed to be the one.
That was the one.
This was the one, right? This was the one, right? And it turns out when you're greedy and you want to charge everyone 1% management fees or whatever it is, then they're just going to our good friend. Guess who that is there, Sharif?
BlackRock. Well, and also, would you want to compete with BlackRock? Like, if you're Grayscale, do you want to be in competition with BlackRock, like the biggest asset manager? You know what I mean? It's a tough competitor.
Absolutely, but I mean, you want to be in the space, but you want to do it correctly. Like we know Kathy's in it as well too. She has her ARC BTC or whatever it's called there. But you just don't want to be greedy and charge people management fees, because essentially what happened there with the IBIT one is they take probably the methodology from the Chinese. Undercut everyone, take the share, and then sure enough start charging the fees later. But that's obviously not the case what happened here, but I'm obviously being somewhat sarcastic. But that's what happens, guys. You have no liquidity in your asset, and that sucks. And I'm pretty sure they fired that guy. So there it is. Tesla, boom, gone off, new high of the day, and I'm so happy that we're not trying to short this. I was looking to get long here on the TQs. Did we take advantage of that? No. So yeah, a lot of missed ops right now. But again, nice consolidation. I thought this was personally going to be a head and shoulders. Doesn't seem to be the case as the market's starting to climb higher and higher. What's NVDA up to? I'm assuming that it's going to start to climb higher as well, so that's looking not too bad. Some of these big names starting to rebound even more off of those lows there, Sharif.
See your friend Gold?
Yeah, GLD
another
is crazy,
1%
I know, I'm so...
Where are we at here, man? Let's find out what GC December contracts at. We'll put the continuous on there so we can kind of... Let me just throw on the continuous, because we're not going to be able to see the full picture unless I put the continuous. Gold, COMEX. Should I go E-micro? Not the E-micro, the regular futures, right? We'll go continuous contract. There we go. Okay, well, we're at all-time highs.
GLD.
GLD? Oh, we could do that. There's probably not the same, but there you go. All-time highs, baby. That's obviously wrong there back in 2011, or is it, Joey? Because I know we spiked during the GFC times. No, I think this is it. These are all-time highs, guys, on gold. Obviously, the market worried about, the Fed independence, this, that, and the other, as well as, we'll get to it more on the rundown, but if the U.S. has to pay back some of these tariffs, what's being speculated on right now is that Treasury, the U.S. Department of Treasury, will have to issue new government treasuries to offset some of the costs that they'll have to pay back because they don't have the cash on hand. And as a result, that means more fiscal spending. More fiscal spending means worse budget deficits, and that makes the long end of the curve go up, and gold goes up as a result. As people look to hedge against devaluation of the currency, you print more money, you devalue the currency. It's really that simple. So, yeah, gold, man. Gold is that trade. It is that trade. And it keeps going. It's not sexy, but it's good. I have nothing. I've never ever had gold. My old man owns gold. Alfred, my friend, used to own a lot of gold.
Oh, really?
He inherited it from his old man. And then he sold all of it and bought a ton of Tesla.
Is that your boy who
That's my buddy.
Just bang?
He did. He made big money.
What's up, Alfred? One thing before we go there to Adara, Daniel, that's just part of the game, right? Like, it's just recognizing what's super strong and what's not, and why it's not participating. I've had countless of those, so it's honestly, it's nothing, man. Get used to it. It's going to happen more than once, and just try to avoid it. But Adara, what do you got for us?
Excuse me, keep an eye here on Coca-Cola, KO. The company's at a Barclays conference, and apparently executive warned that they had a little bit of a decline here in their Q2 volumes, calling them, quote, slightly negative. Apparently there was slow momentum in important markets like India and Mexico. So KO warning here, apparently slightly negative Q2 volume. If I get anything else, I'll let you know. But as you guys can see, there was a volume increase as we have this Barclays conference happening for Coca-Cola. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adair. There goes the market starting to come back in a little bit here. You can see that I'm long some Bitcoin. I don't know if this is going to work. Obviously, if I knew it, then we'd just go insane. But here it is, downtrend intact. I'm long this name. I do have a feeling that we can break this, considering that we're just forming this channel here. Hopefully it doesn't go too crazy as the market is coming back in. And it looks like there's a potential short signal here starting to be displayed on Tesla, right? So it did that additional like higher. No, Katina Man's been long this thing. He's been crushing it there. But here it is, right? So you can see we put that leg in, and then we have that nice volume print with that inverted hammer candle. So not too bad of a look, but just understand that the market is relative. Oh, okay, I love the Qs right here. I love the Qs short. I'm going to get involved in this, even though I know I'm in this IBIT long. But take it away, Sharif.
Exciting news for Canadians. Oh, my mistake. Every trader knows that if you want to grow, you have to risk more. At least that's kind of how it used to be. But Trade the Pool is changing that. It's the new revolution in stock trading. You don't need a large deposit. Trade the Pool is built for any trader who wants to grow without putting everything on the line, just like, small skin in the game, and you're trading with real capital. And here's how it works. You pay a one-time evaluation fee starting at around $47. That's your total risk. From there, you trade real shares, not CFDs, using the company's capital. So if you're interested in that, head on over to tradethepool.com or scan that QR code on the screen. And everybody, I just want to let you know that Ram is moving behind us again. And so there's going to be a lot more Ram interactions. But I think we're also a little bit of a disadvantage this time, Joseph, because we've got our back to her, so she can launch projectiles towards us without us seeing her. Prior to that, she had been in front of us.
How'd she get that desk over there? So
she got, she's been carrying it on her own. I seen her schlepping with those monitors.
Was that what it? Yeah, I know. I'm like, I thought it had wheels or something.
Crazy! I can't believe Ram's carrying stuff.
Yeah,
like that's the most work I've ever seen her do.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? I love Ram. I'm just joking. All right.
No, let me cover. Yeah, let me cover this here. So I got all out of this IBIT trade there, just just digging away into my profits, and I decided to go short the overall market. Why did I go short the overall market? Here, look at this hammer right above the volume weighted average price. So if it cracks that, then we're out. And probably if I hold it that long, we'll be slightly red on the day. So I mean, giving away all of the gains, but that's how it be if you want to put on some trades. Adara, what do you got for us?
But I hear on Corning, GLW taking a big move to the downside after Bloomberg reported that China apparently announced anti-dumping duties on optical fiber from the U.S. We know that Corning is in that glass and related materials and technology space, so this is a story that could impact it. GLW falling again pretty sharply here from intraday highs. Again, on this story from Bloomberg, suggesting that China has announced anti-dumping duties on U.S. optical fiber. GLW, back to you.
The company that Apple's making the iPhones
Yep.
at? It is, right? Yeah, and like they have like a whole thing. It's like, how about you make some of the processors here, Apple?
Yeah, Apple.
And not the glass. No, it's a nice start, Joey.
It's all liquid anyways these days, Sharif.
This guy hates the iPhone.
I don't
he hates the iPhone.
I don't.
Bro, you're
like
crapping on the iPhone constantly.
Yeah, I am crapping on it because it's just like, man,
love it.
They took away so much of the glass effect. Like, what kind of BS is that? It's supposed to be
you're
liquid
still in
glass.
beta, though. We still haven't even seen the full version. That comes after.
This is the
event.
final version of beta, apparently.
Is it? Oh, the final version of beta.
Yeah,
so technically, okay. All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see what they got to offer us.
There you go.
All right, guys, I'm still with this URGO. We're a penny in the money, nothing to write home about, but there it is. China announces anti-dumping duties on optical fiber from the U.S., reporting Bloomberg. Thank you for bringing that to us, Adara. We'll keep an eye on that, and if you're invested in Corning, if you're trading it, keep an eye out on that. So I'm holding UGRO over here. Let's see what we get. We're a penny in the money, nothing home to write about. It's holding VWAP, but it's not exactly rocketing up. It's also holding 60 pennies, which I've earmarked as an area of support. It had pre-market resistance there. Also, we used it as support at around 12 o'clock, a little bit before that. So that's what I'm looking at right now, guys, as we get into that 12:30 session. We'll start the news in about 15 minutes or so.
Ooh.
There is a whole lot to talk about, as I'm sure you already know. Lots of Google news, lots of Apple news and the implications from such. So we'll be doing deep dives into that. So make sure to hang out with us from around 12:45 till about 2. We cover the news.
Ooh,
we
nude.
don't do it nude. I promise you that. We will not do it nude.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
Anyways.
man. We'll get dinged. YouTube right away. Right away.
I mean,
straight to jail.
You make it provocative. There it is. Shout out Britney Spears.
But there is the nude news, isn't there?
Is there?
You haven't seen this?
No.
There is something called nude news, and
Oh yeah, they do it.
as you might imagine,
Man, I know a couple
They
of
are
those.
necky.
I know a couple of those South American reporters are
The naked
they're doing it pretty good. They're doing the news right
oh
over
wow,
there. Is all I can
you're
say.
going down that road, eh?
The South American reporters doing
You're
the
going
news.
down that road.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Joey. All right, Joey.
I like.
You're not showing dislike. You're just going down that road.
Yeah,
All right.
I think it's good.
Here we go, guys. UGRO is breaking out here. Now we've made a first 5-minute candle to make a new high. We've got 62s on. It's showing me 65 and a half. We still haven't gotten that 66 print yet. It's up 61%. You know, let's see if this one's got the goods to kind of make its way back into the high of the day. That high of days, you guessed it, 74 pennies or 73.99. That should express to you my dislike for trading these sub $1 stocks. I hate 4 decimal places. It makes it a thicker trade, and a lot more places at which you can post sell orders. So let's see if this one's got the juice to get back to the high side. I'm packing my patience, Joey.
All right, cool. So yeah, there it is, starting to work out here a little bit. Just off of that hammer candle, right? So if we can snap this downtrend, then I think we'll be all right. If not, if we continuously bounce on it, then we'll just have to assess the situation and see what's going on. Okay. But this is what I'm going off of, right? So I got to give it a little bit more room. And with that being said, you have to be willing to take the loss as well. So if the market wants to come back in, then we'll be okay. NVDA forming the same prints, which I like. That could give me some more conviction. And this is what I was talking about earlier on Tesla as well, is that, okay, you take that additional leg higher, and then you kind of get that indecision print at the high with that inverted hammer candle, and then sure enough, you're heading into some key support levels. Now let's take a look at what NVDA is up to. We're gonna go to Adara momentarily, and as soon as I get the go ahead, then we shall do so. And there it is, NVDA, same thing. Let's see if we can get that breakdown. Adara, what do you got for us?
Got it, Adara.
Keep an eye here on CIEN as well. This is the other stock that seems to be moving on this story from Bloomberg again. In case you missed it, Bloomberg reporting that apparently China is going to be imposing duties here on this fiberglass. That'll be the anti-dumping duties on optical fiber from the U.S. Apparently, the duty for cording specifically is 37.9%. Not seeing what it's going to be for CIEN. But this is interesting, too, because Sienna actually reports earnings tomorrow morning. So right before its earnings report, a negative note here for CIEN. Again, Bloomberg reporting that China's going to be imposing anti-dumping duties on fiber from the U.S. that is hurting Sienna, and it's also hurting GLW Corning here. Also, I just saw this. Keep an eye on Newsmax and Fox, FOX, and NMAX. Apparently, according to CNBC, Newsmax is suing Fox for antitrust reasons. So keep an eye on those two.
You are fake news.
Wow. No, not you, Adara. Yeah, it's okay.
That has to be the best use of that button, bar none.
Bro, it's like the two competitors, right? Isn't Newsmax a more conservative outlet? We don't have it in Canada. Adara says yes. I mean, I rarely watch it. I only see clips on YouTube and stuff because we don't still have that around here. But obviously we have Fox. So it's like the two competitors like, no, that's my audience. No, it's my audience. I have to see, how is Newsmax doing post-IPO anyway? Let's pull that bad boy up.
About that thing,
Take a look at that bad boy there, Joey. NMAX. NMAX. No. What is it again? Adara, what's the ticker for Newsmax?
NMAX. That is NMAX.
My bad. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great looking chart there, eh, Joey?
Where is it?
It's right there.
Man.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, it is what it is. That's the weekly. Let's flip to the daily. This looks,
man.
yeah, that's a tough look right there. It's getting a buyer here at around, looks like 11.5, 11 1/3, but still rejecting off the 50. It's obviously using the 50 EMA on the daily as resistance. We'll have to keep an eye out on that, yeah. So Newsmax, but it's a print factory over here on UGRO. We've taken all the prints, 69, my best out. Now we're gonna wait at 70. So let's go ahead and post at 70. So nice look here on UGRO. Shout out to Yannick. Shout out to Adam DeLuce, all class Adam. Shout out to Bovin, obviously. Goes without saying. And here we go. Again, we just got back into 69er. I'm posted at 70 now. It's up 69%, 70%, and looking to take out the high. The high, 73.99 on the dot. Essentially 74 pennies, but you got to assume it's really that $0.75. That is a level of resistance. These are not my favorite stocks. One's sub $1, but there isn't a whole lot breaking out right now. Your Huckleberry TV, it's forming a boot. LOL. Yeah, it doesn't look good at all, brother. But yeah, I see your point with that. Nonsense. Y6N. Fig, the IPO from not long ago, has earnings tomorrow. Thoughts? Let's have a look at Figma. Everything okay back there, Ram? Okay, just making sure. Oh, geez, another one, Joey. These, yeah, not everybody's going to be CoreWeave.
No, or
Circle, right?
Circle,
and that's the thing.
That's
yeah, there's a lot of exuberance initially there. Look, brother, I don't know too much about the business model about Figma, only what I reported about their earnings when they were private. We still don't have, obviously, any post-IPO earnings. As you mentioned, though, earnings coming tomorrow. So the chart pattern doesn't look good, okay? That's the only thing that I can really give you an opinion on. I can go back to my notes to see what their earnings were, the last reported earnings, of course, that they had to disclose with the IPO. But that's just, that's a historical look. So we can see what they were guiding. I don't know if they gave any guides. I'll look through my notes when Joey takes over because I don't remember what day it was. So I'll have to do a quick search there. But other than just to tell you that the daily does not look good at all, Assassino, all I see here is lower lows and lower highs. So I hate to be so cut and dry and negative about it, but that's kind of what I see.
Yeah, call it how you see it, brother. You don't want to sugarcoat anything. Yeah. Speaking of sugarcoating, I don't think that's necessarily the case, obviously. Okay. But yeah, let's see if we get that breakdown. I think there's a couple scenarios, obviously, that can happen, and as obvious as the ones that I'm going to kind of explain may seem, then that's kind of the case. We either break this trend line, or you get buyers stepping in and you punch right through. And if Apple wants to continue to climb higher, then you stand zero chance. So you may as well just It's so frustrating, but okay, that's all right. We'll hold on to this, but yeah, there it goes there. AAPL continuing to grind. It's so hard to go against, it's so hard to short the market when this thing, I swear, and I said this in the chat, I'm like, I swear literally every time that I'm going to short the Qs, Apple is just moving oppo of everything and then decides to climb higher. So it's running into some key resistance there. We have that downtrend, and then we have that steady uptrend, but it looks like it wants to breach it to the top side. NVDA still hovering around the volume weighted average price. And with that being said, I have to keep an eye on some of the other mag names, what Microsoft is up to. We're south of VWAP. And then we have Meta that's north, but it's been an ugly, ugly session for Meta here today. That is not intraday trading. If you ask me, that's so tough to sit through. And then let's take a look at Amazon to see what it's been cooking up. All right, so heading towards the lows, but it's just the percentage moves that you need. Like whatever one's moving on a greater percentage basis is going to have more influence on the market. So if you see that Amazon's tanking, but the Qs are holding up relatively well, and then Apple's grinding higher, it's because probably a percentage basis, it's just grinding higher. So yeah, there it is. We'll sit in this, and thanks for pointing that out. I know we've been grinding since 11:30 essentially. So a breakdown. I want 50s. 88.50 is going to be my primary target, but I don't even know if I'm going to get that. I'm willing to add a little bit more and just risk the rest of the day, because why not? I'm kind of in that mood right now considering. So yeah, we'll be patient and see what we got cooking up. As for Bitcoin, we got stopped out of that trade, climbed right back up to roughly around our entry price. You get that liquidity grab, bounce off of VWAP, and then now heading into some key resistance zones. So if that downtrend snaps, I think you'll be able to climb higher there, Sharif.
All right, Joey. I just want to go into the Figma information there for my man, Nonsense Y6N. So here's how they did. Let me zoom that in. So their June quarter revenue, this is again pre-IPO, guys. June quarter revenue was expected, I don't know why. Yeah, okay, I guess that's what they're reporting. Between 247 to 250 million, that would be up 40% year over year from 172 million. There we go, Assassino. I think we're good there. 172 million. So not a bad look. Operating results expected between minus 500,000 and $2.5 million plus, a sharp recovery from almost $1 billion operating loss in 2023, mostly stock-based compensation, according to the company. So it wasn't anything that they were doing wrong with operations, but it was stock-based comp. Their March quarter revenue grew at 46% year over year, up to 228.2 million, and their net income tripled to 44.5 million. Now, I don't know if there's going to be one-off costs associated with the IPO that they'll realize on their next earnings report tomorrow that could, put a hurting on the report. I have no idea, so I don't want to speak with regard to that. But that's all I've got. I hope that helps, brother, with respect to some of the financials, because there's not a whole lot to base my analysis on the chart. The chart doesn't look good, but that doesn't mean it's the end-all and be-all, right? So seen that before where charts were mispriced and the company's fundamentals were a lot better. UGRO, the only trade I've got on at the moment, guys, and we've wet the beak all the way up to 69. I did de-risk over here at 65s. I'm holding a couple of pieces, 2 pieces that is, exactly. So I'm waiting at 70, and then we're gonna, if 70 gets printed, I'm gonna hold a piece for the dream, maybe into that dollar area. Who knows how this one does? I'm talking about UGRO up 58 some odd percent, but certainly off the highs. And last attempt there, it couldn't clear 70. So seller at 70, and on top of that, it's a lower high.
Bang, let's go.
Attaboy, Joey.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about here. Look at that volume kick in on the TQs, man. Okay, nice look. I said 50s. We'll take a little bit off here. I don't want to, though. I'd rather just hold it and just be Deontay today, but that's not going to be the case because that's how I'm feeling. We could have added a little bit there as well, too. So, yeah, not too bad of a look there. In the short, why was I short? I showed you guys already. It's just a simple VPA signal. It's not simple, obviously, but just what I'm looking at, essentially, just pattern recognition, to each their own at the end of the day. So a nice little bounce. Hopefully we don't get stopped out break even now on this one, on this pullback here. So do I take a little bit more off? What do you think there, Sharif? I'll leave it in your hands.
That's a flat bottom break, and it's a lower high. And you broke through a very key level that was defended multiple times with a lower high. Okay. If you're asking me from a chart pattern perspective, I hold, but I don't trade this stuff. So think of that what you will.
Okay. I was going to say you're held accountable for all your words.
You're not. You're not holding me accountable there, bro.
There's no way. And then this is why I say I should take more off, because I knew it was going to bid right back up. So hopefully we don't get that.
Make a lower high, though.
Yeah, that's going to be really important. As long as this volume stays relatively cool, we might be okay. And if Apple decides that it wants to start to participate to the downside, then sure enough, oh my God, this is going to be the worst case scenario. If you close as this, if this hammer if it closes as that,
but it's
then
still a lower high, Joey.
It is. We cracked that downtrend. But again, at the end of the day, if it closes as that specific candle, it's like I might even flip and go in the opposite direction because Apple's just grinding, and there, sure enough, why didn't I take more off? See, that's the thing about trading is that it's like, okay, I have these opportunities, and it's like, oh, I want to leave a little bit more for a runner. I want to leave as much as the bulk of it, and then you get these pullbacks that essentially just wipe out all of it. Yeah, but it's so frustrating, but it's a part of the game. And so for me personally, on my other trade from Apple this morning, it's like, okay, my first partial was 50%. So maybe I just got to go along those lines, especially in this kind of choppy type price action and with Apple continuing to grind higher there.
All right, guys, I'm still holding a piece here on UGRO, but if you have any new small cap gappers that are specifically, guys, above the volume weighted average price and above the pre-market high, I'd love to know about them. I don't see too many on my own scanner there. Let me just see, what is this YDES? Okay, what the hell is this? Why is it pausing up like that? Okay, this thing's flying, but it's barely doing any volume. YDES is the ticker. It's up 66%. 56. This thing's moving dollars at a time. Yeah, I'm not even going to look at this. Edible as well. Bovin was telling me about EDBL. Had one of those in a while, Joey, but you know.
Ooh.
Well, that's okay. You don't really have to have a lot of those.
They're not that good anymore.
I don't really like them. I can go through a dissertation on this later, but
you can break them down.
EDBL.
The off market are better, obviously.
They much are.
Yeah.
And what he's talking about is we're restricted in the amount that can be put in the legal ones.
Exactly.
But it's just they increase your tolerance, bro.
Does it?
I'm not about that.
Yeah,
life. I'm not about that life.
And I have a candy issue too, so I don't.
Do you actually?
Yeah, big time, bro. I told you what I ate over the weekend.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I got sugar too, bro.
So it's just like, yeah.
No, but here's the deal, guys. EDBL, it's up 37%. It's not far off the highs. The volume weighted average price is 240. The 10 EMA on the 5 is 228, 227. It's 4 or 5 penny spread. It's not too bad. It doesn't have a higher high, so this current candle on the 5 is a lower high than the prior candle, and it's also a lower low. It, in fact, breached it down to 221 or 220-ish. So it's not exactly a glowing endorsement for the longs. I'm keeping an eye on the blotter, the scanner. If you see any other ones, though, I'd really love to hear from you guys.
Oh man, Bitcoin a dog's breakfast right now, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's getting.
Is it below 110?
It's probably heading in that direction there. Yeah.
All right, I'm hearing about Opera from who's this person over here? I just saw it. Rupesh Bhatta. Sorry, I probably butchered your name. This is not technically a small cap gapper because it's a $1.6 billion market cap, but it's got a good looking trend, very obviously respectful of that green line you see there on your chart, which is the 10 EMA on the 5. So good look, but just definitely for me. Anyway, before we go to the news, I want to let you know that anything below 60 pennies, I stop out on UGRO. We're obviously profitable on it, taking the majority of the position. I've only got 2 beak wetters left, and one of those beak wetters is reserved for a 70 print. If we get it, we get it. We don't. I'll stop out below 60 pennies. And I just, it looks like it's going to flat bottom break through 60 because it's got a few lower highs, and we know 60 pennies is an area of support intraday. Once, twice, OB, he is the one thrice. Let's see if it breaks through that area. Joey, you ready to start the news?
I'm ready to rock and roll, man.
All right,
let's get into this Apple Google.
Adair, you good to go? Yeah. All right, sounds good. So we're going to start that. Let's start with the first story. As everybody knows, obviously, Alphabet. Surges. Where are they at now, Joseph Options? 8.86%, looking to go 9. So Alphabet up bigly after your boy, Judge Amit Mehta, ruled against the Department of Justice harshest remedies in the antitrust case that Google's been facing basically for 5 years. Started in Trump 1.0 in 2020. The Department of Justice had actually sought to break up Google, including divesting Chrome as well as Android. The court rejected this outright. We're going to get to more details on the Google story in the Apple story, so the next 2 stories overlap. So sorry about that, but they obviously have a lot to do with one another. Google can still pay companies to preload their products, but they cannot enforce exclusivity clauses, even if they currently exist in the agreements that they have. Case in point, Apple. So in theory, Apple could go and get another search engine to be, partially the default. For example, iOS could have Google, where OS could have DuckDuckGo. I'm just giving you any random thing. But then obviously that will be reflected. That will be reflected in the negotiating price. So when that term comes up, Joey, next year, Google's not going to give them $50 billion if Apple's got another person.
Exactly, and I was just going to add to that point. With the likes of Perplexity valuations now through the roof and ChatGPT, what if they were to knock on Apple's door and say, "Hey, we want to be one of your primary search engines as well too."
You're bang on. So that's what we're saying. But that you have to assume. We'll get to it when we discuss. But you have to assume that will be reflected in the contract price between the two companies.
Absolutely.
Crucially, Google can continue to pay Apple billions to be the default iPhone search engine, as we finished saying. Again, there's going to be a lot of overlap with the next two stories. So again, what Google keeps intact, no divestiture of the Chrome browser. Android OS remains under Google, protecting, its ability to leverage mobile dominance. And Android's 70% global smartphone share is key, obviously, to scaling their AI products like Gemini, as they use a lot of that data, right? The analyst reaction, obviously, ever the bull, Dan Ives of Wedbush, saying the ruling is a home run for Google that removes a major overhang for the company. And in fact, he liked it so much, he boosted the price target there up to $245, citing the long-term confidence that he has in search's durability, Joey. So again, we're going to talk about this probably a couple of times as we go into the next story, but your immediate reaction to this news, obviously, I'm assuming you think it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And you and I were talking about this earlier, Shreve. I think just considering where we are from a geopolitical standpoint, and in this AI arms race, as we like to call it, this is what you want. You want your best players to be your best. And sure enough, with Google and the amount of dominance that they have in the search engine across the globe, with the exception of China, you want to be able to maintain that, and you don't want to hurt these companies, especially when you're when you're in a battle against China, and they're continuously growing their AI game as well too. So again, I'm just gonna leave it at that, is that you want your best players to remain your best players and grab as much share as you would like, as they can possibly grab, right? Obviously you want somewhat of a playing field at home, but when you cross the pond and you're in other countries, you just want to absorb as much of it as you possibly can. It's a bit of a catch-22.
You're bang on with that, because you want to get control in your company so that the consumer doesn't get hurt, but you also don't want to hurt your own companies to the benefit of a foreign competitor. So you're I couldn't agree more with that analysis. Adira, I just want to hear your take on this whole thing. And so try to keep it to Google, obviously, because we're going to have to do Apple again the next story. But go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have too much to say on this. I think obviously it was better than we were expecting, but I think as long as any decision that didn't involve, the divestiture of Google probably would have pleased the market. Now, the thing here is the timing. I know some people were asking me in the chat, and it's also been remarked upon that we had this move up into the close yesterday, throughout the day yesterday. We knew we were going to get this decision sometime over this week or the previous week, but as far as I know, we didn't have the exact timing. I know, after Labor Day was the general conclusion. So, yeah, I mean, with regards to that move that we had and whether or not anybody knew, the answer I have is it's unclear. I just want to address that because I've seen a lot of people mention that. But with regards to the story, yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, this seems pretty fair as far as the decisions go. It has to, disclose information to its competitors. That seems fair if you're going to rule it a monopoly in the search space. And they get to keep Chrome. Yeah, like I said, this is kind of a ruling to me.
You know what I was saying to Brendo, and I was saying to Sean this morning? I feel like I missed a major price cap on Google. I miscalculated how much the lawsuit was being factored into the price. Do you know what I mean? I personally didn't sit here every morning and say Google is, resisting all-time highs because it has that legal overhang. I didn't price it in like that. I mean, what's your look? Were you thinking about that, as possibly a cap on Google's share price?
I mean, one thing that I try to do, and I've said this a lot, is I try to let the market tell me what it wants to tell me. So I guess retroactively, you could argue that that's what it was doing by having that resistance. I mean, again, though, that's going to be retroactive, right? Hindsight's 20/20. I do know there were quite a few analyst notes with regards to ahead of the meeting about this being a bit of a monkey on Google's back, but that's going back to April. That's not anything recent. So I don't know. I think certainly an analyst note related to the other company implicated that I'm not going to mention here right now, that certainly, they gave it that little price target bump after the ruling. So I think it was on analysts' minds, maybe more than it was on traders' minds.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you, Dara. So what I really wanted to kind of take from this experience is a learning experience. When there is a legal antitrust overhang on a company, not to dismiss it, or not dismiss it. That's probably the wrong word, but to factor it more into the price. Like, I didn't know what the dollar value of that was. You could make calculations based on what Chrome was bringing them or costs and what it's possibly, you know, if they were to spin it off, how much it would cost, all that stuff, right? I just didn't give it enough of an analysis on my part. I'm just speaking for myself.
No, that's totally fair, Sharif. And to add to that point, I believe it was somewhere around this the antitrust started in 2020, I believe. I forget the date I was reading, so it started in 2020. But there was times throughout the price action of Google where it was being held back by just consistent news coming out, possibly having to divest out of Chrome and then not being able to be Apple's primary search engine. And it affected the price. When you had some of the other tech names that were continuously grinding higher, you had Google lagging its peers. And sure enough, it's hard to factor those things in. But I always lead back to one thing, and I found that it's been working, and it's not in the same case. It's like, okay, people are like, and we talk bad about it, like Apple, iPhone suck, blah, blah, they need to come out with some new software, etc. But it's the free cash flow. These guys have so much money on the table that it's almost irrelevant what happens beside it, because they can just pay any fine that they want and then just continue to do what they want to do, is obviously with the judge allowing them to keep Chrome and not having to divest out of it, so they can still pay the likes of Apple as well too.
I'm trying to focus, Joe.
Yeah, I know you're trying, but Randy's here, man.
How's everything? Right. What were you looking at there? Because you were looking deep into the.
He's looking at Apple's chart right here.
He's checking out the fresh buzz, baby.
Fresh cut, eh?
Shout out to my man. The little
you shave it? Do you razor it?
Not in years.
Oh,
I used to do the Chrome, but it's
the Chrome, eh? So what, do you just go with the 1 or something on there?
There you go.
A zero?
Zero, yeah.
All right, I'm just getting tips.
And you see it.
got better fuel economy.
And you got great hair too, bro. There's guys seeing this guy's. He's got pictures on his desk there.
That's
when his
a
hair was
choice.
Longer.
That's a
bro.
choice.
He's got a full head of hair, dude.
Oh yeah.
There's pictures on his desk.
I mean, you don't got the up top. You're up good up there.
He doesn't have the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, the cul-de-sac.
You called it the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, well, it was what Sean tried to say. He had a widow's peak. I'm like, brother, you're past that, man. You're at the cul-de-sac now.
All right, let's go on to the next story. So it's Apple here. A lot of overlap again. So Apple shares up about 3%, 3 1/5 right now. Following a favorable ruling with Google's antitrust case, a judge ruled Google can continue paying Apple billions annually to remain the default search engine on Safari, which includes iPhones, Macs, iPads. The payments represent a major profit driver for Apple's service segment, which investors prize because of the high margins, 80-some-odd% gross margins there. You got to assume that the $50 billion that they get from Google, probably something 90% gross margins on that. Here are the court ruling details. As we mentioned, Judge Amit Mehta, Google can pay for preloading and placement of search, Chrome, or Gen AI products if they so choose. However, they will be barred from exclusive contracts that tie the payment of said money to exclusivity of any kind. Revenue sharing details are limited to 1 year, leaving room for that Apple-Google renegotiation, as Joseph and I were just talking about. Google also must share search data with rivals, raising obviously privacy concerns and competition concerns. I'm assuming Google does plan to appeal that. They weren't very happy with that part of the decision. The impact of the deal, though, Joey, Google spent $26 billion back in 21 on default search engine agreements with partners like Apple, Samsung, Mozilla, etc. Apple's share is significant given that there's 1 billion plus active iPhone users, making the deal Google's most important out of the bunch. Revenue appears under Apple's services business, as we've mentioned, supporting growth alongside iCloud, Apple Care, App Store, Apple Music, and obviously Apple Plus TV. But let's talk a little bit about the background of the case. As Joseph mentioned, the Department of Justice sued Google almost 5 years ago now, back in 2020, under Trump 1.0. Oh, that was the don't be rude one. Google was found guilty in 23 of violating the Sherman Act Section 2. This ruling, specifically the one we got yesterday, outlined the remedies, not whether they were guilty or not. Apple's Eddie Q testified during that Google trial as Google as the best search engine, but Apple also explored apparently other AI search alternatives. We got word about that. And here's Apple's strategic options, since we're doing Apple now. If restricted in the future, Apple could do one of the following: explore building its own AI-powered search tools, which they chose not to do with search. They may do that with AI, or add AI search engines as optional defaults in Safari. You throw in Perplexity, you throw in Claude, GPT. The judge also noted, Joey, that Google's payments deterred Apple from capturing ad revenue directly. So Apple, to its detriment, relied on this Google deal, and we saw that he didn't want to hurt Apple in his decision. He said that that was a huge source of revenue for Apple and kind of refused or was kind of hesitant about interfering with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that point, I mentioned this earlier, is that GPT and Perplexity are going to be on Safari, I think, come next year. So that's going to be absolutely positive. Tell me what you got.
Joseph Options, we're breaking out right now on UGRO. We got the 70 fill, and we're going to do it live right now. We're going to flatten out here at 77. It's up 90%. Jeez. It's going. UGRO is what we all thought it was. Shout out to ADL initially for telling me about this one. Sorry to interrupt you, Joseph.
No. Just as to what I was saying before. But as for market share as well, too, and I mentioned this to you earlier in the morning, Sharif, is that Motorola, Chicago-based cell phone manufacturer, says that if you own over 30% of the market share, you should not be able to pay Apple all this money for you to be the primary search engine. And sure enough, the judge had ruled against that. So they were the only ones not in favor of what was going on for Apple, right? So yeah, so very interesting stuff. But as for this, I think that's what it's going to lead to, right? So Sharif, you mentioned that, hey, Apple can have more than one primary search engine. Like you can have top lists, and I think it's going to be in the likes of Google Chrome, ChatGPT, and Perplexity. That's what the sounds of it's going to be. And with that being said, does Apple need to come out with their own AI after that, or can they just do a decent update to Siri and then allow that these other search engines to kind of they can monetize those other search engines, right?
It's going to be really interesting to see how this all comes out. I hope we find out sooner rather than later. Adara, I'd love to hear your take here on Apple. Good, bad, middle ground?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm going to quote High School Musical here: stick to the status quo, because that's really what this judge did. We already, going to keep doing what they used to do, business as usual. And I mean, I don't want to dismiss the fact that a headwind over the stock has been lifted with regards to, is this Google deal, like what's going to happen there? Yeah, I mean, just to kind of echo what I said with Google previously, I think that Judge Amit Mehta did a solid job. I think he clearly considered all the issues. The ruling seems fair. But I think one reason that this is not necessarily, A, moving the way Google is and was, and B, the reason it didn't maintain the move is because this is just not as exciting as what we had with Google. Google, obviously these are both headwinds for the stocks, but Google was consolidating near all-time highs, and it had that, this headwind basically lifted. With Apple, I mean, it's just not as big of a catalyst, and again, it's not the primary stock involved in the catalyst, right? So I think with regards to the move, I'll say that for AAPL. Clearly, though, as I mentioned earlier, analysts are liking this. We know. Again, it was probably more of a concern for Google, but this was also a concern for AAPL. So that's something less for it to worry about. Not too exciting.
Sounds good. Let's go on to Zscaler. Next topic, AI as a core growth driver, reports the company. So CEO Jay Chaudhry emphasized Zscaler's transition to an AI-driven cybersecurity firm, calling it the area of omnipresent AI. Oh boy, big words. The company's internal data shows, Joey, that AI and machine learning transactions on its cloud platform surged 3,500% year over year, reflecting obviously the rapid adoption of such by the company. They believe AI Guard, one of their products, and its expanded Agent IQ suite, targeting threats like prompt injection, jailbreaks, agent-to-agent communication, all things I have no idea about, are becoming critical tools, apparently, for next-gen cybersecurity. That's kind of the macro look for the company. How did they do on earnings? They did quite well. Revenue, they're still substantially below $1 billion in revenue, $719 million versus the 706. That's a 21% year-over-year increase, and an easy beat there. Beat on the bottom line as well, 89 penny EPS, easily beating the 80. The annual recurring revenue, aka ARR, surpassed $1 billion across key platforms, and their guidance, Joey, Q1 revenue expected to be 772 to 774 versus the 750. So whatever way you look at it, they're guiding ahead.
Good look there. All right, guys. Each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S., yet there is still no FDA-approved treatment. NYSE-listed Oragenics Ogen is changing that with its first-in-class intranasal drug designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Oragenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more and schedule a meeting today. As for this...
Oh, I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so their market positioning, so they see that they're actually going to be able to see about $100 billion cybersecurity market opportunity with AI integration, giving them the competitive edge. They also, management that is, highlighted their agent-to-agent communication security as the natural extensions of what it's currently using, which is Zero Trust platform. They've had that for a while. And Joey, their growing annual recurring revenue, the ARR, and the customer adoption show the firm's ability to monetize this AI-driven security solution is quite effective. So
that's what you want to see, right? Monetization is everything, right? How can we make money from this, essentially? Right? That's what you want to break it down to. But from a technical standpoint, Sharif, I remember a while ago you were telling me that PanW and CrowdStrike use two different methodologies of cybersecurity. I forget what it was exactly.
Well, it's not different. It's their business method. PanW has platformization, so they want you, like, for all the different type of cybersecurity to go through them.
Oh, okay.
I think Crowd's doing it as well.
Doing that, okay. So I thought Zscaler fell in that realm as well too. So that's essentially what I was going to get at here. But from a technical standpoint, not too bad, right? So you have this nice volume candle right here, and then now you have this hammer candle. So watch out for this name to open up above this specific level, and you can climb higher. I know someone specifically who's in Zscaler. I'm not going to mention their name.
I will.
But hey, I like this. Cybersecurity is definitely one of the good plays, and we'll take a look at its peers as well to see what CrowdStrike. Sorry, I know we're going off, but you want to see how it's comparing to other cybersecurity names, and look at CrowdStrike. That's a hefty pullback, but I mean, it was outpacing the market drastically. You're down 21%, so that's bear territory. And I know someone else who's in this name here. I'm not going to mention it, but there it is, 8.5%. So Zscaler not looking bad from a technical standpoint compared to some of the other ones.
All right, Adara, let's hear your opinion on this one. We know how these cybersecurity names can be a little fickle, especially after earnings. Zscaler's down 0.5%. Do we find a nice little bump up in the upcoming days? Because this was a pretty good report.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid report. I think part of the reason that it might have actually given up some of the gap up, and I talked about this in the market recap with Sean, but there were two guidance numbers reported. Now, to be clear, they for their fiscal 2026 revenue guidance. So I initially saw the number that, of course, was accurate. The market went with that just above 3.2 bill-ish guidance. And again, that was well above estimates. But Benzinga and I think some other sources were at one point circulating a 3.6 bill guidance. So again, that is much more above estimate. So I think once that guidance correction came in, probably about 5 to 10 minutes after it was initially published, we did get a little bit of a pullback there. Now, that's unfortunate, but it does actually happen more than you'd probably expect with earnings, where there are typos with regards to releases. And I think it was disseminated incorrectly by a couple sources. Again, I did see the correct number initially. So I just want to say that with regards to potentially the reason for the pullback. But I mean, I have this infographic here, X at TTV Research. This is the revenue here 2018 to 2024. And as you can tell, the annual revenue for this company is basically a straight line, more or less, and it's gotten more exponential over the next 4 years. I think they're probably going to be in good shape going forward, and I think this report certainly reflects it. Also, the thing, too, I think, with regards to why it's not performing as well today, in addition to the guidance, what I've noticed, at least this season, if you've got a name that gaps up and then kind of gives it up into the open, it seems to be a little bit less willing to hold it or to continue to go higher later. That being said, we did have that nice push off the lows. We're rejecting earnings AVWAP right now. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think on an intraday basis anyway, I think longer term it probably looks good.
Sounds good. Let's go on to Amazon. A couple of Amazon stories today. We'll start with the ending of the Prime invitee program. So Amazon will end its Prime invitee program on October 1st of this year, which allowed Prime members to share the shipping with non-household members. Notices have been sent out to account holders, with invitees set to be notified by the 5th, so in 2 days. starting next month. If you're invited and you live outside the household, you must purchase your own Prime membership now. There will be a family focus. So here's what they're doing. So Amazon shifting to Amazon Family kind of thing, which allows sharing benefits with one other adult or up to 4 children or up to 4 teens. Okay? To qualify, all users must share the same primary residential address defined as the home where they spend most of their time. Be interesting to see how they enforce this. And a lot of people are like, why are they doing that? Well, we reported to you guys yesterday that the Prime numbers were a little sluggish, not the Prime days themselves, but the memberships, Amazon Prime memberships leading up to Prime were markedly down year over year. So the change comes after Reuters reported U.S. Prime signups fell short of both last year's figures and Amazon's own internal targets during the Prime Day run-up. Despite expanding Prime Day to 4 days, which was July 8th to 11th, U.S. subscriptions underperformed expectations. So they're thinking this could be more of like a Netflix password sharing things, Joey, kind of thing. So Amazon emphasized as well, Joseph, that Prime engagement remains strong worldwide with record-breaking signups during the Prime Day and the 3 weeks leading up to it. So they kind of want you to see what they want you to see. Don't focus on the United States sign up. Look at how we're doing internationally.
That's exactly what I was going to say there, Sharif. It sounds a lot like what Netflix did with the password sharing. You have to be within that same household. But I mentioned this before. I think, I'm not going to say that they're putting the e-commerce faction of the company on the back burner or anything along those lines. Obviously brings in a lot of revenue, etc. But I think the focus here, they want to increase the margins with that, so that's going to help as well too. I think as making more people sign up, so you're not just allowing. It's like, oh hey, Sharif, can I use your Amazon Prime or something along those lines, right? So I can get
you saw it with Netflix. They had more signups after
exactly, right? So there you go. So you're going to get the more signups on the Prime. But again, just to lead into what's going on with the e-commerce, I think that I'm not going to say the major focus is AWS, but I think there's going to be more growth potential within AWS than the e-commerce factor.
That's fair. How'd you take this, Adara? You and I went back and forth yesterday about the Prime memberships. Do you think this is a response to that, or are they just looking, as Joseph was saying, to increase margins?
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on this. I think it's probably just, they're kind of late to the game. We know that Netflix did it. We know Disney did it. Now, the other thing with Amazon Prime you have to remember as well, with that in mind, is they also have streaming. So I wonder if this is actually more of a response on the streaming side of things to copy Netflix and Disney. Now, honestly, that's really all I have to say to this. I don't have too much to add, other than I think that the fact that they're kind of late to the game, at least by a couple of years, is worth noting.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. Amazon.
Do we know? Because what did AWS grow year over year growth come in at, like 12-13% or something around
AWS? Well, I can find out.
So what is the e-commerce sector growing at? That's my big question.
Their margins are way less.
They're way less considering the tariffs coming in from China. A lot of the products are coming from China as well too. So I think the more growth potential is in AWS than what they have.
Growth. Especially in profit too, man. It's like 80 some odd.
The margins there. So the margins are.
Let's talk about this. Amazon again here facing they're going to have to face a class action lawsuit because it was certified by a judge. So U.S. District Judge John Chun, I think I'm saying that right, Chun in Seattle approved a class action certification on the 6th of August, covering about 300 million U.S. consumers who purchased goods from Amazon using third-party sellers after May 26, 2017. The ruling alleges here that Amazon violated Section 1 and 2 of the Sherman Act, acting as a platform most favored nation by restricting competitive pricing. Amazon did not respond to requests for comment about the certification of said class action lawsuit. The lawsuit also claims that Amazon used policies preventing third-party sellers from offering lower prices on competing platforms. The policy, I'll get to this in a second, the policies cited include pricing parity clauses, which they removed, to be fair to them, back in 2019. Also, select competitor featured offer disqualification program, that's a mouthful, as well as marketplace fair pricing provision. So here's what happened. So the lawyer for the plaintiffs, or the expert that was brought by the plaintiffs, testified that Amazon monitors 200 plus competitors' websites and removes sellers from its critical buy box if they listed items cheaper elsewhere. Very interesting. That's why they're having to face the lawsuit. So the court found Amazon controls a defect. 72% of the online retail marketplace market with about 2.3 million third-party sellers on their platform. That's 45 times larger than Walmart's third-party seller platform, which you and I talked about yesterday, as starting to compete with Amazon, which obviously underscoring Amazon's dominance. Internal documents showed as well that 80% compliance rates amongst third-party sellers for its anti-discounting enforcement. That was between the years of 2018 and 2023. And the lawsuit here is pretty simple, Joseph. It targets Amazon's referral fees, which is about 15% transactional value, arguing that they act as hidden price floors. So this is interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Didn't they temporarily want to implement the cost of the tariffs in their pricing on the website as well too? Yeah,
and then they took that off quick when your boy Donald.
What do you call it? Treason.
Remember that?
Essentially, that is insane. That is insane. But yeah, as for Amazon, they're gonna have to figure those things out. From a technical standpoint, it was selling off throughout the intraday session, AMZN. But look at the market go here now, getting a nice little bounce. So that's where we're experiencing. We're gonna touch on the market here momentarily and on the Qs trade. But as for catch-up, watch out. AWS is going to climb this thing to a new all-time high, I believe, probably before the next quarter, in my opinion. There goes Bitcoin climbing higher. I'd love to see that. But as for the Qs, I'm happy that I took more out. I got stopped at a 5%. That I can live with, opposed to 50% where I would have been more frustrated. So a nice look there. But as for Google and Apple, sorry, straight before we go on, I just want to touch on some of these names that are moving, considering we're talking about them. And that's Google and Apple just doing what they do best, especially after the judge rules in their favor. Boom. Boom. And then look at the overall market as well, too. So almost a new all-time high on the day. Only a couple pennies away on Google. We mentioned that blue sky setup. Nothing from a call wall standpoint in the options market saying, hey, we're going to cool off there. And then you have Apple starting to climb back as well, too. Snap's downtrend and continuing its northeast trajectory.
Adara, they removed the price parity clause in 2019 to kind of avoid this whole thing that they're involved in right now. Yet, they still monitored more than 200 websites to see if their third-party sellers were actually selling anything for cheaper. So did they actually effectively remove it? Give me your take on the whole thing.
I don't know. I mean, I think I have to understand the mechanism that they violated it a lot better. But I think that looking at competitors, I guess, to get a sense of pricing is, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem too wild to me. Again, I need to look a lot more into this story, though, I think, to understand, like, I guess, the bigger specifics. The fact that they have, like, so many policies that are kind of, you know, related to this, it may be of interest. But I also want to add as well, this was initially, I guess, revealed or unveiled on Friday. And then it got reported last night. So this is not, you know, like, again, just because it's revealed now doesn't mean this was, like, you know, happened yesterday. I just want to add that too.
That's fair.
And then also, just a quick reminder to everyone that I did make this infographic and it exists. This is what Joe was talking about there with the situation with Amazon. And this is all in one daily chart. You know, we did have, of course, Caroline Levitt calling the Amazon reported decision hostile and political to display tariff costs and featuring a photo for some reason of Jeff Bezos holding a phone. And then apparently Trump actually called Bezos, who again was not the CEO of Amazon at the time and is not, to complain about the tariff label plan. So yeah, I mean, I just think this is a fun moment in recent history. I think it's hard to, like, with any kind of monopoly related talk with something like Amazon, you know, you're going to have a larger piece of the pie, right? It's like Google. So, I mean, I don't know how they're going to end up deciding, but I think the implication of the decision, whatever we get it, and again, this could be years, could be of interest.
Fair enough. Thank you, Adara. I happen to agree with that. A shout out to Coroni 7355 for the $10 super chat.
I'm really rich.
I'm really rich. I appreciate all of you. Looking for a trade the pool discount code. You all motivate me so much to trade. Joe, Sharif, Adara, Katina Man, Neil, everyone working in production. It is right there, my friend. Scan that QR code on your screen. You get 10% off. Shout out to Assassino, making it super easy. and the video description as well. It's both. So you can click the description in the YouTube video, or if you want to make it, Joe, show.
Let's do it
show
live.
With your
Let's do it live
there.
here. Let's do it live here. Don't remove that there, Assassino. Let's see what we got.
See your friend
here.
AEO?
Was it doing? Yeah. It's our friend. It's our friend.
It's our friend. This guy, unbelievable, this guy.
All right, well, that failed, unfortunately.
But there it is, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's just go on to the next story, Joey. But there it is. Scan that QR code, my friend. You get 10% off. Shout out to the great folks at Trade the Pool. Let's go on to Dollar Tree Assassino. They reported earnings, and let's see where they are. They were down, then they were up, then they were down. Where are they at now? They're down 7 2/3. So let's talk about the report. Their adjusted EPS came in at 77 pennies, destroying the 42 pennies expected by the street. So an easy beat on the bottom line there, and a beat on the top line as well. 4.57 billion, easily passing the 4.48 billion expected by the street. And net sales grew 6.5% year over year, supported by a 3% traffic increase and a 3.4% rise in the average ticket size. Must be nice, Joey. More people coming in, and they're spending more money every time they come in. I mean, what else could you want? Let's talk about the guide. I don't really know why this thing is down. It must be the call. Dollar Tree now guides fiscal year net sales between 19.3 billion and 19.5 billion. That's up from the earlier guide of 18.5 to 19.1. So good look there. Comparable store net sales expected to rise about 4 to 6%, again ahead of the 3 to 5% that they guided previously. And their adjusted EPS outlook, their profit, they lifted that from 532 to 572, again up from the prior 515 to 565, supported by what the company is saying is operating strength and $1 billion in stock buybacks. How's that Q3 forecast doing? So we just talked about full year guidance. Let's talk about Q3. Management warned, there we go. Management warned that Q3 adjusted EPS would roughly be flat year over year, around $1.12 a share, below the analyst estimate of $1.33. Now it all falls into place. Guidance reflects the reversal, Joey, of about a 20 penny tailwind from continuing operations that benefited prior results. So we'll see how this cautious outlook if it overshadows the bigger picture.
Absolutely. I mean, here we know that Dollarama is doing pretty good, right? But in times of uncertainty, that's when you see these dollar stores really start to ramp up and they report good earnings. Are we in that realm? I'm not sure, but has the tariffs led individuals to be more conservative on their spending? Maybe possibly the consumer's slowly starting to cool off, but also we have a big unemployment report this week as well too, which I think is going to be extremely important for this. The more unemployed individuals, well, guess what? They're going to be looking for cheap alternatives, and that's where you're going to see the names like Dollarama, obviously Canadian-based, and Dollar Tree really start to benefit.
Let's just pause for a second before we go to Adara. Are you noticing in your area as well the insane amount of Dollaramas opening up everywhere?
Dude, there's 3 literally. So back when I lived on Lakeshore, there's literally 3 within a kilometer.
It's crazy. There's 2 on Yonge Street where I live, like maybe a few hundred meters of each other.
Oh, bro, you can walk to every single one of them if you wanted to.
It's fantastic. I personally love going there. There's a bunch of items that I will never pick up from anywhere else other than
Why
there.
would you ever?
I have no idea. You want to pay more?
No, but in all seriousness, you get like Dove soap, just the unscented, cheaper. You go to the likes of Loblaws or something, $6, $7.
$1 too higher.
Easily significant. They have raised prices a little bit, but nothing substantially that you still go there. I'll still go get my my shampoos, toothbrushes, toothpaste, etc. All those little accessories that you need, I get from the dollar store because it's the exact same brand at half the price. Well, I don't know if that's the case in the States, but here you can get your Colgate toothbrushes, toothpaste, and everything, etc. So yeah, all your toiletries are there for literally a fraction of the price.
I got nothing bad to say about that. Adara, this report, I mean, mostly good, but there was that one Q3 issue there with the guide.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think... Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't have too much on this that you guys haven't already covered. I'm going to be really honest. Like, the stock has, other than, obviously the drop here on the actual report hasn't been too reactive. And, we talk about this a lot. Guidance matters, right? So the fact that their quarterly guidance is going to be flat. I mean, it could be worse. It could be guiding a decrease year over year. But when you contextualize like that, it kind of makes sense, the move that it had. And it's only day one. And it didn't hold support right at 100, but it held support just below 100. So all in all, not a bad look.
Are you as big of a fan of Dollarama as Joseph and I are?
I mean, I don't know, like, I don't really care either way, truthfully. I don't, like, whatever. The one in my neighborhood isn't that close to me. It's not close enough for me to justify me going.
You're like the only person where there's not like 20 around.
Well, no, yeah, I live like in the heart of downtown, right? So there's.
That's fair.
And the thing is too, like, if I want to go to the Dollarama, I have to cross like a crazy intersection, and there's no immediate light, and I will jaywalk, but like you can't really there, so it's just not honestly worth it to me unless I'm out and about and it's on the way. But I'm not going to go out of my way to go.
That's okay.
Cheaper energy drinks there, Adara.
Yeah, but I do natural now, so I don't care. They don't really have natural there. I'm not.
Joe.
Also, they don't have most of the stuff they have there is not sugar-free, and it's certainly not natural. And yeah, no dollar for energy drinks for me.
It's not the same. Fair enough.
Get it, Adara.
But I mean, like, just touch on this subject. I told you I ate a Score bar this weekend. Guess at 98 cents at Dollarama. Guess how much at Circle K?
How much?
$3.
That's crazy.
Crazy, man.
I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, let's go on to the next story. Another retail name, Joey, Macy's, destroying earnings, and the price reflected that. Where are we up? Well, we were up more on Macy's. We're still up 17.5%, very respectable move. Let's talk about how the earnings did. Adjusted EPS came in at 41 pennies, more than double the consensus, baby. 18 pennies expected by the street, destroying that profitability on revenue of $4.81 billion, which beat the $4.76 expected, but down $4.94 billion from the previous print. Not down, actually, 4.9. That's what they printed last year, so 4.81, a drop year over year. Their net income was $87 million, again, dropping year over year from that $150 million they took home. We're going to pause for a second. Adara has news.
Just be aware here, Wall Street Journal reporting that Amazon is apparently halting its fleet redeployment. I guess there were some complaints from delivery providers. They're pushing back against the surprise repair bills that apparently Amazon was putting out there. So just keep an eye here. AMZN reportedly halting its redeployment of its vans. Again, Wall Street Journal reporting this. Back to you.
Company highlighted that this was their best comparable sales growth in more than 12 months. So if you're looking for positive momentum, maybe some there. Let's talk about the full year guide. They raised that guidance as well, Joey. Macy's raising the full year EPS outlook to $1.70 to $2.05 a share, up from the prior guide of $1.60 to $2. Good look. Revenue guidance lifted as well, $21.15 billion to $21.45 billion in revenue. Again, ahead of that 21 to 21.4 they previously guided. The guidance does exclude, however, guys, expected tariff impact. It includes the expected tariff impact, but underline that word expected. It's based on current levels, which Macy's says are now baked into the forecast. So we needn't worry about tariffs kiboshing some of these guides. Let's talk about their business trends and their strategies going forward. CEO Tony Spring said the revamped stores and refreshed assortment are driving customer engagement. Growth categories for the company include denim, women's temporary apparel, as well as watches. And Spring, he emphasized that a leaner inventory as well as reduced redundancy within the company and a healthier product mix are helping the company, especially going into the fall. And they're leaning on the customer experience and diversified assortment to offset tariff headwinds. I saw somebody there in the chat. They're like, I'm really surprised. Ichiro A says, wow, so many Macy's closed around here. That's probably why, Ichiro, that they were able to reduce costs. Sadly to say, when people lose their jobs and they close down stores, they're able to shore up costs, which obviously is good for shareholders, not good for people, obviously, who rely on these jobs. Last but not least, we'll dive a little bit more into tariff impacts and mitigation. Last quarter, Macy's raised prices on select items to offset higher tariff costs. The tariffs remain a real headwind, according to the company, but they're trying to balance them with a stronger product category and operational efficiency. Joseph.
Yeah. So when I look at some of these retail names, I want to take a look at some of the inventories and how the turnover rate is, et cetera. So what I'm seeing here, so days of sale inventory, I think this is complete. It's 150 days for the quarter of April 2025, up from 140 days, so taking 3 days or 9 days longer to turn that over. And then also the quarterly, so 0.61 days turn in just over half the time during the quarter. So that's positive. And then it also decreased by 0.5% year over year. So that's not too bad, right? So getting things off the shelf relatively quick. Exactly. I think that's what you want. And we know that Nike ran into those issues and it completely destroyed the stock for quite some time. Obviously, they had other big time problems, but you're still down 30%. from those previous highs, Sharif.
Yep.
And that is from March of 2024. And that's when I talked about some of these retail names. It's hard to be in this space. I think.
Bro, let's just get to it. On this side of the border, it's even harder.
Yeah.
Nordstrom closed down here. Target. We had a company, I don't know if you guys heard about it down south, called the Hudson's Bay Company. Basically been around since the 1600s, man, and they closed down. Their intellectual property now owned by Canadian Tire, another kind of big box store, but there are not too many. Eaton's is gone. Bay is gone. I don't even know if you're old enough to remember Simpsons. They're gone.
No, I have
Woolco,
no idea.
gone.
No,
Kmart, gone. So there's that trend.
I guess Giant Tiger wasn't really that deep, but more was
not
more
as
or
big
less.
as
There's
them,
but there's not as many, right? There used to be a lot of Giant Tigers, and it's a tough space to be.
Sears, I forgot about Sears, man.
Sears,
Come on. Zellers, thank you, Adira.
Zellers, yeah,
Zellers. They're all gone.
Byway, did you say Byway?
I didn't say Byway, but I definitely remember Byway.
Byway, Byway as well too.
So these are all like kind of Walmart killed them all, says Maximus 1138.
Seriously.
You're not wrong, man. Definitely Walmart is known to be a pricing bugger. Adira, I'd love your take on this Macy's look here. The price, the stock reaction up 18%.
Yeah, apparently this is his best intraday performance since April, so go Macy's, I guess. I don't know. I think the one thing I want to remember, too, is this company did have some take-private offers and talks going back about a year and a half ago to April 2024. Arkhouse was trying to take them private. They couldn't make a deal. I think it was unsolicited, if I remember correctly. Macy's wasn't interested. They were playing hard to get. But I think that's other than them going out of business, being taken private is another potential way to look at this as well. And we know with the antitrust culture being what it is lately, notably a lot less Lena Khan-ish, that we could have, a potential either acquisition or take private there too. I think that's a possibility for Macy's.
Good point.
One more thing here, while we're talking about these other big box stores, RIP to the Zellers at the Kildonan Place Mall in Winnipeg that had the restaurant. You were near and dear to my heart as a child.
When did it close, Adira?
Oh, it was years ago. It would have been, I do know. So they put in the Target when I was in grade 8. So the Zellers probably left around 2011, a little bit before.
And how long did the Target last, if you don't mind my asking?
The Target was, I think, gone by the time I was in grade 10. So we got maybe 2 years out of the Target. I didn't really shop there. They had a Starbucks, and that mall had never had a Starbucks before or since. So that was the only time that mall had a Starbucks. So that's why I went to Target.
Interesting story. Yeah, a little crossover there, a little Starbucks, a little
restaurant. Did you ever eat at the Zellers restaurant?
I probably did. I just don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did.
So I grew up in Scarborough until '95, and when we moved to Markham, there's a little mall called Woodside Square at Brimley and McCown.
Yeah.
No, Brimley and McNichol.
Okay.
And that had a Zellers. And I remember that was the only Zellers we would frequent. It had everything. It was good times, bro. But anyway.
I heard they had the poutine, though. They had the good, I think that's what they're known for.
Poutine, eh?
Yeah,
Say more.
Keep it Canadian, I guess.
All right, let's go on to NuScale SMR, baby. Where's this one at right now? Let's have a look. See if it's still up or down on the day. SMR, show yourself, buddy. Sorry, you guys. SMR is up bigly, almost 13% here. It was up only 7.5% in the pre-market. After announcing a landmark nuclear agreement, the deal marks the largest U.S. SMR, small modular reactors. Get ready for a lot more, to hear a lot more about these. The largest SMR deployment program announced to date. Ontario, the province that we live in, going full force on these SMRs. So let's talk about it. It's called this Entra One Energy Partnership. So Tennessee Valley Authority, the TVA, signed an agreement with Entra One Energy, NuScale strategic partner. The plan is to develop about 6 gigawatts of new nuclear capacity across TVA sites in the region. It represents a massive expansion of the next-gen nuclear power in the U.S. We know Donald's all about that nuclear power push. Entra One will deploy NuScale's SMRs inside that TVA or inside TVA's plants. I should say the expected output should be enough to power about 4.5 million homes or about 60 new data centers. That's the important play here because the data centers are usurping and increasing the price of power on residential clients. So that has to be an offset. All output will be sold, Joey, to TVA under a long-term purchase agreement, and the timeline for operational launch remains unspecified, so we don't know exactly when this will be ready. We'll continue to report on this, obviously, but you got to like the growing nuclear push, at least with some of these companies.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say the exact same thing that you mentioned there, Sharif, is that you know that Donald, he's not about that solar or that wind. So he's essentially throwing all of those grants out the window and says, you know what, we're going with these SMRs and the nuclear energy at the end of the day. And once to add to his point is, how do you think you're going to power all of these data centers?
Bang.
Think about it. You got Stargate and you're looking to continuously build your AI infrastructure. It needs to be powered in some way. And that's exactly why NuScale Energy is up 276% from those April lows. So that's good. Even more at the peak of $55 roughly there.
You see a bit of a head and shoulders pattern there?
Absolutely, absolutely.
If that doesn't make a new high above, what is that, 55, Joey?
I mean, this is strong stuff if you ask me, right? Like you're punching through. You can see the ingenuity within these prints, pretty bullish prints there. I wouldn't be surprised. This is what you want to break, I think, is what you're aiming at there.
That,
if you break that, then you're off to the races and probably putting in a new all-time high on this name.
All right, Adair, let's hear your take on SMR. Not a bad report, or not a bad, deal here.
Yeah, honestly, I think what you guys said kind of sums it up here. I think it's a good look here for SMR. I think with these nuclear names, the deals are generally, as far as we can see, like the best kind of catalyst that these will get, right? They get their deal. They have the nice intraday catalyst. It's a good reminder that they, are there and ready to push higher. So yeah, I mean, I guess a good look for the space, and I think also given the decent short float in this, it's definitely above 20%. I think 32, if I remember correctly, 32%. This is just off the top though. So decent short float. I think you, in addition to this story, you do have, of course, retail investors involved too.
Yeah.
So that can always propel something higher too.
Do you think these generally in the sector will benefit from a political tailwind, Adair? Because as we've heard many times, Donald Trump, big proponent of building out nuclear energy, not so big of solar and wind.
I actually don't think it will, and the reason I say that is because every time he mentions nuclear, I look at the stocks and they do not move or care. I think the bigger tailwind is going to be just them continuing to get deals. Of course, these continued deals are, maybe a byproduct of the fact that Trump is a supporter of nuclear, but I think the government's direct support of nuclear is not something that these stocks seem to care about. I think it's more when they get their own deals.
I guess maybe he'll have to take an ownership interest for people to notice. I'm playing.
Oh yeah, to quote Cyril, maybe I should have brought a plane. So I didn't bring a plane because of all jokes aside, though, that maybe
don't come empty-handed to the White House. I think that's what we've all learned so far. Bring a gold disc.
What do you mean? Invest more in America. You get the subsidies. You get a couple billion here and there, and you just build a couple more.
Yeah, but that's not what she was saying. She was saying, you gotta please Don. Go ahead.
Also, Feds Kashkari just started speaking, guys.
Thank you for that.
No, that's what I'm saying. You show up. You don't show up empty-handed. You say, hey, I'm going to pledge a couple billion, and sure enough, you get a couple billion.
I think you want something nice and shiny there, Chuck.
You want gold, eh?
You got to bring a plane or something. Or Tim Apple. No, well, Tim Apple didn't bring an apple. He brought gold.
Gold.
Let's talk about Campbell's. Campbell's Soup, yes, that company. They were hit by steel tariffs, yes, because they make the aluminum cans. I'm assuming that's what that has to do with. And they warn of a sharp 2026 earnings decline. Oh, baby. Hey, let's talk about this. Q4 organic sales fell 3%, slightly worse than the expected 2.7% decline the market was already pricing in. The company's forecasting full year 2026 adjusted EPS, oh my God, to fall between 18 and 12%, with 2/3 of the drop tied, yes, to the tariff impact. So we're seeing a marked impact here on Campbell's as a result of tariffs. Every other company is either passing it on or we're not hearing too much about it. The new U.S. steel tariffs of 50% imposed in June by President Trump have sharply raised what the company is calling their packaging costs. Let's go more into that. Campbell's uses steel for soup cans. Tariffs are expected to raise the cost of products by about 9 to 15%. So you are going to pass that on to the consumer here. The company projects gross tariffs at 4% of cost of goods sold in the year of 2026. And the CEO here said Campbell's is mitigating about 60%, give or take, of the tariff impact through productivity initiatives and cost savings. So as much as they don't want to pass it on to the consumer, they're going to have to, but they're mitigating, according to the company, about 60% of the added cost. How did their quarterly results look for or do? Q4 profit came in at about $145 million, about 48 cents per share, versus the $3 million loss that they actually printed last year on the quarter, about -1 penny per share. Adjusted EPS, about 62 pennies per share, slightly down from 63 last year, but again, ahead of the analyst expectations of 56 pennies. And revenue, Joey, 2.32 billion, up from the 2.29 last year on the quarter, but just shy of Wall Street's forecast of 2.33. So they were able to grow revenue, but not good enough. They have risks here in their outlook, Joey. They warn their tariff-driven, inflation will weigh heavily on their 2026 earnings, with store prices likely rising further, and their cost-saving and efficiency programs remain central, Joey, to mitigating the tariff costs. See how that goes.
I don't know. Okay, new traders, listen up. First month, free. That's right. We're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it's everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning-fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. As for best trades now, this would not be one of them, considering that you are down 36% from September of 2024.
Okay.
So a little bit over a year now to where we're currently trading at. So for me personally, this is a tough look. And as for the tariffs, I'm not too sure. Aside from the aluminum and the metal, isn't it a lot of the soup, shouldn't it be homemade, made in America, onshored?
I think it's just because they were bringing I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's an assumption.
Yeah.
They were bringing the steel.
Yeah,
from China or from somewhere else,
right,
Joey. And
aside from that, though, it's like, come on, all the ingredients, I'm pretty sure you
I'm assuming, yeah, but that's,
that's
that's what they're complaining about.
So.
What's your take on this, Adara? Campbell Soup, missing a little bit there, but year-over-year increases on most of these line items?
Yeah, I think honestly with a lot of these companies in this space, as long as you're like, hey, I have some kind of plan for the tariffs, the market seems to be happy with that. I think if you have no plan for the tariffs, if you admit after the fact that you're flailing a bit, that seems to be more of the issue. So yeah, I think with that in mind, good look for Campbell's. And honestly, good look for the stock today too. This is a great intraday look for CPB. I do want to mention as well, Fed's Kashkari speaking as well, and like a lot of Feds recently, a little bit more mixed. He's saying the Fed is getting into a, quote, tricky situation with mandates because inflation is still too high, but the labor market is actually showing some signs of cooling. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, I think the Feds have gotten really, I don't know what the mix between a hawk and a dove is, but there's been a lot of whatever that weird hybrid creature is lately coming from the Feds. Yeah, I mean, back to Campbell's, I just wanted to mention that, back to Campbell's. Yeah, I think, again, the fact that they guided cautiously is not in and of itself a bad sign. What we don't want is negative guidance. What we don't want is, pessimistic guidance. They have a plan to get these tariffs under control. And yeah, I think it's hard too because you can't avoid tariffs entirely when you are making cans out of steel. So they're in kind of a tricky spot. I think they've navigated it pretty well, and I think the market, at least today, seems to agree.
Yeah, it's interesting there, yeah, because I don't think they... Go ahead.
So in Canada, Campbell's Soup steel cans are recyclable and incorporate up to 35% recycled steel. So more broadly in the U.S., so essentially it's all coming from Canada, which...
Well, the steel imports the steel tariffs are on Canadian steel as well.
Yeah, okay, so there you go.
Aluminum, copper.
So fair enough. They were in-house before, so they were internal can-making operations in 1998. They acquired can manufacturing operations from Kraft's Tarrant aluminum plate processing and facilities from Alcoa.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next story here, Joey. U.S. revokes. This one was not really reported that much, but I want to do a nice look, a deeper dive into this. So the U.S. was revoking Taiwan semiconductors, waivers, and tightening that China chip controls. So let's go on to this. Let's see what they're talking about here. So the U.S. revoked Taiwan Semiconductor's validated end user status, and that's going to be effective New Year's Eve of this year, December 31st, removing its fast-track ability to ship U.S. origin chip-making tools to its China plant. So chip-making tools built in the United States are going to have a harder time weaseling their way over to their production facilities in China. So SK Hynix and Samsung also lost their VEU privileges, impacting their China-based memory chip fabs. Really, the U.S. government's really coming down on these chips, eh? The Department of Commerce described the move as closing a Biden-era loophole and reaffirmed Trump's agenda to tighten export controls on semiconductor tools, not just exports on chips, finished products, but on the tools, the inputs themselves. Existing operations may receive licenses to continue, but expansion or technology upgrades in China will be blocked. Pretty decisive there. So how's this going to impact Taiwan Semi's operations? TSM said it's evaluating the situation and in talks with the U.S. government, but remains committed to keeping the Nanjing operations running. That's their plant in China. Nanjing fabs contribute less than 3% of Taiwan Semi's total revenue, limiting the financial exposure that they have as a result of these rule changes. The facilities rely heavily on U.S. suppliers like Applied Materials and KLA Corp, keeping them under U.S. leverage. That's interesting. Inputs for Chinese factories relying on U.S. made and shipped products. That's a nice change from what we typically see here, Joey. The move underscores, though, Washington's intent to prevent China from building advanced local chip capacity and growing their own domestic talent pool. Analysts see this as a broader push, Joey, to constrain semiconductor supply chains in China, while simultaneously drawing that same investment, I should say, into U.S. manufacturing through tariff threats and subsidies. This is an interesting take. Doesn't feel like it's going to affect Taiwan Semi as much. Only 3% of their revenue comes out of that one fab in China, but it could hurt Samsung or SK Hynix more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to think is like, okay, with these new rules that they're going to implement, what is that going to do for TSM's thoughts on investing more into America? Do you think they would ever reduce what they've pledged to the States because of this?
Can you say that again?
So do you think, so what TSM has pledged to the States in building here, do you think they would ever reduce that considering some of these new rule changes?
Oh, then you'd be really antagonizing Donald. Of course, they have the option to do that.
You got the option to. Would it be smart or would it be wise to do so? At the end of the day, I don't think so either. So it's good to see that obviously more onshoring within America. That's positive for the chip space. And we're only down about 7.33% from those highs, so holding up relatively well, I think.
That's fair, man. I love Taiwan Semi, obviously. Adara, is this a nothing burger because about only 3% of Taiwan Semi comes from this Nanjing fab?
Yeah, I'll tell you the other reason it's nothing burger, because this initially was reported yesterday, and the market did not care, clearly. So I want to mention that too. When I say yesterday, I mean yesterday morning. So I was watching Taiwan Semi too yesterday, like, oh, maybe there's some kind of move on this. So yeah, I think with that in mind, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Also, though, to go with the part of your note here mentioning mixed policy messaging, because TSM has invested heavily in the U.S., right? We all know that. So it's odd that, I don't know, I think you would maybe expect a bit more support from the U.S. government, because we know that Donald Trump, president of the U.S., does want, of course, this U.S. investment, but also this company's already invested in the U.S. Don't hurt it entirely. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a tough situation for TSM to be in. I don't know what the right answer is, but I don't really think the market seems to worry right now anyway.
Yeah, it's what I was going to say. I definitely didn't see a price reaction, so I definitely agree with you there. But you don't really know how these things are going to manifest over the next months and years. But yeah, good point there. This was reported yesterday, guys. All right, go on to the next one here. Trump pushes for Supreme Court to save the tariff program. What am I talking about here? Well, we all know. I think on Friday, the appeals court ruling came up against him, or not in his favor. So a 7-4 ruling in the U.S. Court of Appeals, Federal Circuit, found that most of Trump's tariffs are illegal, according to the ruling, stating that only Congress holds the constitutional authority to impose the tariffs. The ruling invalidated tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, that IEEPA, including duties of up to 50% on countries like China, Canada, and Mexico. The court emphasized that the tariffs are a core congressional power, that's in quotes, and cannot be unilaterally imposed by the executive branch, aka the president. Implementation of the ruling will be delayed until the 14th of October, giving the administration time to appeal to the Supreme Court. And that's what we're talking about here. So Trump said he will seek an expedited ruling from the Supreme Court, aiming for early admittance and a fast-track consideration. I guess he's arguing here, given the nature and the importance of these tariffs. He argued that without tariffs, The U.S. would become a third world country, those are quotes, framing tariffs as essential to the financial fabric of the nation. He tied the recent stock market declines to the appeals court ruling, which I wouldn't really disagree with, claiming that the stock market needs the tariffs, those are quotes, and that investors support his protectionist trade agenda, whether that's accurate or not. Reasonable people can disagree. Let's talk about the scope of the impact of this. So the tariff program, introduced obviously earlier this year, affected nearly 70% of U.S. imports, targeting not only rivals like China, but also allies like Canada and Mexico. Tariffs were justified by Trump as a response to countries failing to curb, as we've talked about with this country, the fentanyl trafficking into the United States. If the ruling is upheld, the share of U.S. imports subject to tariffs would drop sharply from 70% to down to just 16%, dramatically reducing, obviously, the trade restrictions. What's your look on this, Adara? Let's just take it from two perspectives here. One, does he get the expedited ruling? And two, let's just put an over-under. Does he win or lose at the Supreme Court?
I think he loses. I don't know about the expedited ruling, but I do think that he might lose. Like we talked about yesterday, the Supreme Court is maybe not as united as you might think. And we already know that they said they're not even sure he can fire the Fed. Now, this is obviously a different issue, but it shows that they are willing to consider other sides of the issue, right? Which I think is pretty key here. So, yeah, I think if they do lose the Supreme Court ruling, I'm not sure how the administration will react. That could be a whole other issue because I'm sure Donald Trump will try to find another avenue for this. But yeah, it was pretty wild yesterday and also today during his talk with the leader of Poland. He brought this up again, how, we need the tariffs. Maybe we'll make tariffs in place of income tax. That was a real thing that Trump said today as well. And yeah, just talks about
it. Saying that for a long time.
We'll be so poor without tariffs. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that the rhetoric on it is very strong. I think whether or not we'll see the tariffs continue is a whole other story. But as I discussed yesterday, I think the biggest issue he's going to have is with these high tariffs on countries like Brazil, where they actually have a surplus. And I think, like I said, people have made the point in the chat, which I think is completely fair. And I've seen this online as well, and from the Trump administration, non-tariff barriers, that's fine. But I also think, like, when you have a notable surplus, and you're charging a really high tariff, I don't know if you can justify it in those scenarios. So I wonder if they get a conditional ruling in their favor. But I think they're going to have a really hard time justifying overruling the congressional hierarchy, I guess.
So I'll put the question to you. Do you feel that he gets possibly an expedited sitting? Or what's going on, Assassino? Does he get an expedited hearing? That's what I was trying to say. In the Supreme Court, given, so much is riding on the line. He's striking deals with countries. Countries are, fundamentally changing how they're operating with the United States, thinking that these tariffs will stick. Does the Supreme Court have to give us a quick answer on this, or is this too big of an issue, Joey, that they have to be more deliberative about it?
As in returning some of the cash that they've received,
not just
from,
that,
but everything in general.
Everything.
Yeah, you know what, Sharif? I'm going to look at it like this. I think that we're in the latter half of the innings, per se, with all this tariff talk. I like how he's restructuring the deals. What is he going to get from that? I don't know, but is it in America's best case to reverse course in what you've already done? I'm going to have to say no, because if you're restructuring deals, Adair mentioned that, okay, yeah, Brazil, they're running a surplus, but what about all the other countries that they're running deficits within, and they're striking deals that benefit America? So I think that he's going to get the pass on this one, and it's going to stick.
All right, we're going to pause for a second. Adair's got news.
From Kashkar, I'm not sure if this is why the market's dropping, because nothing he's really said recently is fundamentally different from anything he said earlier. I have been, mentioning and putting on the screen some of his comments. So definitely check the position board, because I will put comments and news there from time to time, and I have with his Kashkari speech a couple times. But he's basically saying that inflation is still too high and the Fed's work is not done. Again, nothing really materially different from what he said earlier, but just being worded here a slightly different way. He did also say that the Fed does rely heavily on government-produced economic data. We know that the veracity of said data has been questioned, to put it mildly, recently. So interesting comment there coming from Fed's Kashkari.
Touch on this for a second. Kashkari is talking about inflation. Do you think that the Fed is going to have to modify its mandate from 2% to something slightly higher to kind of correlate for what we have within the current economy, more spending.
That's been the talk, I think, for 5 years. The Bank of Canada does that, so it's 2% plus or minus 1. So they're good with
but
1,
it's not,
good with 3.
that's not the mandate
not
for the,
doing
from,
that
the,
in America.
from
and
the Fed.
I don't want to speak for Jerome Powell, but his own words have that they will not do that. They do not want to do that. So whether or not he changes, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But it's funny that he's still focusing on inflation, but when you have a big anticipated unemployment print coming up soon, which I think is going to sway the Fed in whatever decision that they're going to decide to go with.
Speaking of the Fed,
bang.
Look what we got coming up
this
here.
This one, yeah.
Oh, baby. Fed Governor Lisa Cook fighting Trump's firing. So let's go on to some of the defense that she's launched. So her lawyer, Lisa Cook's lawyer, Abe Lowell, filed a court motion arguing that she never committed mortgage fraud and that President Trump lacks the legal grounds to fire her. Lowell said Cook's mortgage details were already disclosed to multiple federal agencies, the White House, and the Senate before her 2022 Fed confirmation. Any alleged inconsistencies in her financial disclosures were visible during her vetting and confirmation process, meaning they cannot serve as a valid firing basis, according to him. Trump cited alleged misrepresentations. Sorry about that. Let me move that down. Trump cited alleged misrepresentations on mortgage applications, including properties in Michigan, Georgia, Massachusetts, as justification for the removal. Lowell, her lawyer, countered that Cook properly disclosed designations such as primary residence, second home, and rental property in government questionnaires and disclosure filings. Not the mortgage applications, but on the government questionnaires and the disclosure filings. Interesting that you made it on one. Maybe she forgot. Lowell called Trump's fraud claims a pretext, alleging his true motives is to pressure the Fed into cutting interest rates more aggressively. Can't disagree with that. Trump has repeatedly threatened Fed officials, warning they must lower rates or face consequences. The case raises fears of political interference, obviously, in monetary policy, which could destabilize investor confidence in U.S. financial institutions. So the economists rally in support of Cook. Nearly 600 economists, including Nobel laureates, have signed a public letter defending Cook. They stressed that the central bank's independence is absolutely critical for monetary policy and long-term U.S. strength. The letter that the 600 economists wrote warned that undermining Fed independence could increase monetary policy uncertainty, Joey, forcing markets to price in political risk, raising borrowing costs. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Do it.
Is the Fed a political body?
Well, technically, no.
I'm not talking about technical. In reality.
As right now, oh man, that's such a tough question. I'm going to go with no. I'm going to say no.
So they're not politically motivated. They're more economically motivated.
Yeah, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to give Jerome Powell the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
All right. How long has Donald Trump been pressing him about rate cuts? For quite some time now, literally since he stepped in office. Cuts. And he's been holding his foot relatively strong on that factor. Now, you can go to the opposite side of that and say, well, he's doing it to get at Donald Trump, and therefore he's making it somewhat of a political entity. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think Jerome Powell, other than being a little bit late, allowing inflation to get a little bit under control, has done a relatively decent job, in my opinion. Whether you agree with me or not, that's fine. And again, he stuck to his mandate, price stability and maximum employment. And then coming up with this jobs report, I think that's going to, as I mentioned before, going to have a major influence on the next FOMC meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to say no. The answer is no. Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
I'll put the same question to you, Adira, and whatever you want to add on to this. I'm sure you've been doing deep dives. A lot of new information came out about this questionnaire and stuff like that, things that I hadn't personally read. What's your take on this whole thing?
I have to look more to the questionnaire. Specifically, what question did you ask, though, Soaring?
Is the Fed a political body, not in du jour, but in de facto?
No, I don't think it has been acting in a way, and I say that because even the two individuals that we know Trump appointed that are being maybe considered for the Fed chair position, that would be Fed's Bowman and Fed's Waller, they've actually given reasons that are economic, related to the economy, for their, I guess, decision to fight for that 25 basis point rate cut back in July, specifically with regards to labor, which we also know that other Feds have been a little bit worried about as well. Fed's Kashkari mentioned it too. He said that he is, concerned about labor, though he thinks inflation is still too high. Fed's Daily also, in comments following the July meeting, said that she can understand why the Fed has waited for so long. You know, maybe the time to wait is almost over. So I think given that there isn't a consensus at the Fed, I don't think this is an example of a body holding up for politics. I think this is an example of a Fed that is facing a key conflict with their dual mandate, and they're trying to figure out how to navigate it. That is my interpretation. Now, to the Lisa Cook thing, which of course I've looked into, I watched that video evidence that Bill Pulte posted yesterday, and it was gotcha journalism of a guy going to a house. I don't know how he knows this is Cook's house or one of the ones that he knocks on the door and he says, oh, I see, you know, a man eating TV in the house. And then he has an off-camera conversation with this man. You don't ever see the other man. And then he's
Who is this man?
Just some journalist. I think Charlie LaDuff was his name, if I remember correctly, which I think I do. But Charlie LaDuff, yeah, he was just like, you know, going to the house to knock on the door. We have no proof it wasn't staged. I'm not saying that it was, but we don't really have enough context to.
What is the accusation? Because I never saw it. So the accusation is what in the video?
Well, I guess they're just saying that, oh, here's a house that she's renting out. That was the accusation. But again, the video doesn't really prove anything because it's really decontextualized, which has been my biggest issue with Pulte's evidence all along. It is very decontextualized. He'll produce signatures without context, listing without context. If I have context, that's fine, but we really don't have any context here. And I'm even okay with redacted documents as long as we have enough context to be like, okay, that is what is being, you know, what is happening here, right? I think the other thing, too, is we know Trump over the weekend a couple times called for Judge Giacob in Lisa Cook's case to recuse herself. But again, his biggest reason for the recusal had to do with a previous ruling against his administration and the fact that she and Lisa Cook were in the same sorority, which, as I mentioned earlier, is not really the smoking gun that a lot of people have kind of made it out to be because they went to different schools in different states, and this sorority has alumni, including Serena Williams, so it's massive.
Great. All right. Shout out to Serena, great tennis player, love tennis. Let's talk about the appeals court reinstating FTC Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter after she was dismissed. So a divided U.S. appeals court ruled 2-1, allowing Democratic FTC Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter to resume her role after President Trump attempted to remove her. The court said FTC commissioners cannot be fired without cause, citing nearly a century of clear U.S. Supreme Court precedent. The judge ruled that the Trump administration is unlikely to succeed on appeal since overturning would defy binding precedent, which is why they didn't want to give him that temporary stay. The dissent came from Judge Naomi Rao, who was a Trump appointee, who argued federal courts may lack authority to reinstate an officer removed by the president. So she came this a different way. Rebecca Slaughter's response and role, she celebrated the ruling, saying Trump is not above the law and pledged to return to her duties immediately. The FTC enforces consumer protection and antitrust laws, making the case critical for regulatory independence. Trump had first appointed Slaughter to the FTC back in 2018. Biden later elevated her to acting chair in 21 and then appointed her to a second term in 23, running until 2029. Just to give you a background here, well, we already know the background of removing the commissioners. Joey, what do you think about this FTC thing? Is it a nothing burger?
I think it's a nothing burger, brother. I didn't read much up on this at all, to be honest with you. What was the other lady who was fired most recently as well, the CDC individual? But if she's implementing, if she's implementing that Trump doesn't have the rights to fire her, it's the exact same thing with Lisa Cook, right? You want to keep the independence of some of these commissions. So in the same thing of the Fed and the FTC, I don't think he has the right to fire her. You want to keep them separate from political entities.
Yeah, you want that
separated. You don't want it to be correlated whatsoever.
All right, and that's why people going on over here. Are these guys coming back? Any word on these guys, Assassino? Did you hear anything from these guys?
Yeah, hey? we know they're in the meeting.
They're in the meeting.
Yeah.
What, do they not know they have a show at 2? Let's find out. Let's see what these guys are doing.
Ask them.
Yeah, I got to go into the midday. You want to take over for a sec?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Let's get right into this market and see what we got going on. Tesla is curling over, so that short is. But think about it. The market's been trading lower for how long? And then right around 130, you start to get that sell-off. So maybe you get that move back into towards the volume-weighted average price. And the exact same thing with the SPY and the Qs, right? So we're south of those levels, which I think is really important to note. I think the mag that might be dragging them down is going to be the likes of these chip space, and that's NVDA heading into some key support levels. But one thing to note, this isn't absolutely horrible. You're trading within a $2-3 range on the session, so as long as you don't continuously bleed and get more aggressive to the downside, I think you'll be all right. There is some indecision prints, so we want to look for 167 to hold up, 165, and who knows, right? Because when you go on such a monster run from the April lows down over 100% or whatever it may be, now you're sitting on the backside of this trend. Watch out for this pullback. And all that we can hope for is that some of the analysts and what they've been saying is that they think they're going to be relatively shallow. But if they start to deepen and people start to panic, considering some of the lows, the run that we've been on from the April lows, watch out. You might run into about a 15 to 20% pullback, and that'll put you right back into bear territory. But you can't complain considering the Nasdaq been on a 30% run, NVDA's doubled in price, and a lot of these other tech names have reached new all-time highs.
Absolutely, Joseph. All right, not really looking at small cap gappers this time of the day, but let's do it. I see a CARV. So this one, a little light on volume to $3-ish name, only 1.68 million shares traded on the day. And we're talking about 2 o'clock now, right? So that's a 5-minute look, topping till into 385. All hell breaking loose as people take profits. We're short down into 310. It does seem like it is holding, though, above the 10 EMA on the 5. Let's throw in that ticker. CARV is the ticker. I don't necessarily like the price action at the moment, but based upon where it is, you could give it to current bar low. Current bar low also being that 10 EMA on the 5. That's a green line there. So if it loses the 10 EMA, I'm unlikely to want to hold this. Also, in addition to that being a good area of technical support, it's also overlapping with VWAP. So it's one of those anomalous situations where the 10 EMA and VWAP are basically one and the same, not typically the case. CARV up 39%, not a bad look. Let's load this one up on a trading screen to get an idea of what the spread is on it. CARV on the Nasdaq. No, not too bad. No worries, guys. The boys are back. The boys of summer, the Blue Jays. So here we go, 324, 328. It's between a 4 to 8 penny spread at the moment. So you're going to have to basically make sure you know what the cost of doing business is with this one. Just getting in and getting out at the same time can cost you, 8 pennies per share. So we'll keep an eye out on CARV. All the other small cap gappers that we were watching during the midday have all lost VWAP or are not trending in the right way. So yeah, and there are no new ones, at least from what I see on my blotter. If there are any new ones, guys, just tag myself or Joseph in the chat. I'd love to see which ones are actually moving at the moment. Worksport's still basically holding VWAP. So it hasn't done a whole lot, but it also hasn't given back a lot of the move. Do we even know what the hell? We still don't even know what's going on with Worksport. So it's up 26% on the day, and we've got no news on this one, but it's a nice looking bull flag there, but below the volume weighted average price at 393, 28% as I mentioned. Keep your eye on this one. If it really starts getting going, it's got a 430 high there, Joey options. So we'll keep tabs on that. Give the boys a couple of minutes just to get settled in, put the mics on and whatever, and then we'll throw over to them. Wow, what else are you looking at, Joey? Anything you're looking at going into the afternoon?
No, I'm done trading on the day. I had that TQ short. I had the long on Apple, so there's no other trades that I'm going to be just putting on. I'm happy with what we got going on. Obviously, it can be a little bit more, but at the end of the day, I'm accepting of my profits, and we bank those, and then we come back tomorrow to see if we can do the exact same thing again, maybe even a little bit better, hopefully even a little bit better. So, yeah.
I love hearing it, man. Yeah. All right.